What's good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one. And tonight we have a very special one, as we did last year. The cast has changed a little bit, but we are once again back for a regular season preview roundtable. And tonight we have, of course, the man who needs no introductions on these YouTube streets, DouglieDoWrong. The Fin fanatic man that hands out blocks like they're candy on Halloween, Jeremy Klump, the legendary left tackle, and the man who should be inducted in the Hall of Fame before Zach Thomas. I said it and I meant it. Richmond Webb.
Mm-hmm.
One of the few set of eyes I actually trust when it comes to evaluations and scouting, Dante Collinelli. The triple OG and speed racer with his 500 horsepower truck, Mr. Ball Game. And of course, former FAMU Rattler quarterback who's still living off the energy that marching band put out a couple days ago. Martin, what's going on, guys? How you doing tonight?
What is up, man?
What's good, fellas? Good. Salute, man.
Hey.
All good.
Guys, we are like literally under a week away. Obviously, we're like 5 days away, and we don't start at 1 p.m., which is like odd to me that we start at 4:25, the afternoon game. But it's a new year. I guess it's better than the 1 o'clock start they gave us last year where Cam Newton beat us. Just your excitement and your feeling, because like I'm getting giddier and giddier each night. It's like I'm awake longer. This team is literally keeping me up at night right now. The offensive line and the run defense are keeping me up at night. And the insomnia is growing with each night. What do you got? How are you guys feeling like being so close to? I know some of y'all have been on Twitter and seen the absolute nonsense that's been going on the last 4 months because there's nothing to talk about. How are you guys feeling with it coming so close?
Excited.
Dougley, let's start with you.
I'm just like you said, the offensive line and the run defense is making me hesitant. And then hearing about Austin Jackson and then Greg Little with his little sickness, I'm like, to quote one of the worst Miami Dolphin head coaches, I'm feeling a little queasy about it. But I still think Tua is going to get the ball out quick. There's going to be designed quick passes, slants, and then going over the top. We still have a great secondary. Our pass rush is going to get there. I'm still feeling like Brian Flores is going to get in the head of Mac Jones like he did to Justin Herbert, and I think that we're going to be just fine. I was more scared to face Cam Newton because we do horrible against running quarterbacks. Now we got fat Mac Jones back there. I'm fine.
Oh, my God. How are you feeling, Klump?
I'm just excited football's back. This is like a terrible thing. I never root for people to do bad, but secretly, I haven't tweeted this or anything, but I want Mac Jones to play so bad on purpose. Like, I want him to be horrible, and I want to see how the media reacts, though. I'm so intrigued to see if it's going to be like excuse city, rookie guy, you know what I mean? Like, I want to see how they treat Mac Jones if he does bad. And then Reason knows this. A lot of people know this. On the other side, it'd be pretty crazy if he's like elite. That would really, really suck. Like, I don't think Dolphins fans would be able to accept Mac Jones being an elite quarterback. Like, I think I would be honest.
Dolphins Twitter for at least a week.
I literally fear. I said this to my wife. I fear going on Twitter if Mac Jones is good. Like, I fear it because it is going to be
so true.
Unbearable. But I don't know. I mean,
how does the social media app control our life like
this?
It's
crazy.
Bro?
It's crazy. But week one, I mean, even if Mac Jones is going to be good, I don't think Mac Jones is ready for the Dolphins D week one. I mean, that's a tough task. I know. I think it was Big E shared that video when they were in like their hybrid defense and like not going down and just blitzing everyone. I mean, that's a tough task week one, but I'm excited. I'm glad football's back. It's been too long. Sometimes it just feels like it drags on, but we're finally here, so I'm excited.
Isn't it crazy how like media pundits and everyone was like, oh, there's no way San Francisco could take him at 3, to now all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, this guy's the best Alabama quarterback out of all 3 of them, and he hasn't even played. Like, it's just like,
it's weird how media trends work, man. It just like it takes over, and then like no one wants to be different. Everyone wants to just pile on with each other. So now, since everyone's saying Mac's the guy, like now Mac's the guy. So we'll see. I mean, again, the best part about football is you can say whatever you want, but the eye in the sky doesn't lie. So we'll see. That's the best part about football.
Richmond, how are you feeling coming up?
I feel good. Like you said, it's a lot of hype with Mac Jones, but if I'm New England, I'm going to try to get the running game going. He's a rookie quarterback, and going against that secondary that we have, I don't see him trying to put him in a position where he's throwing the ball 30-plus times. That would be a nightmare. It'd be 3 or 4 picks easy. It's an adjustment you got to make as a rookie quarterback. So I think Belichick understands that they're going to try to get the running game going, but if we shut that down, it's going to be a long day for New England.
This is why I'm so invested in Ramondre Stevenson in every fantasy league I'm in this year. Like every league, it's ridiculous for what he just said. So the man that had a 5th round talent grade on Mac Jones, Mr. Dante Collinelli. And I actually still agree with your grade. I don't buy this hype at all. He's seen vanilla defenses. He's seen 2s and 3s. I know in the joint practice against the Giants, 1s he was good, but like he has not seen pre-snap to post-snap what he's about to see on Sunday. And with the secondary we have, man, like where are you standing on this? I know this is like very conflicting for you because you have your evaluation of him, and then you see these media pundits losing their minds over him. I mean, and the crazy thing is we all know these media pundits, they don't watch film. You know, the intern puts together a 2-minute highlight clip for them, and that's where they're going off. So they don't have time. They just do not have time to watch film like every Mac Jones snap. All right. So do you think people are going to be in for a rude awakening of what this defense does to Mac?
Well, man, I hope so. I got a lot of tweets to delete if that's not the case, man. I'm going to just spend all the second half deleting tweets, man. If he plays good, it's not going to be good for my brand if he's actually coming out here, trashing the Dolphins defense. But no, like I agree with whoever said that, they were more worried about Cam. Like I was more worried about Cam too. Like them running like some version of the triple option scares me more than Mac Jones, if I'm being honest, against our defense. So I'm like very optimistic about the Dolphins this year, which is weird because I'm like a textbook pessimist. And, as like, I'm assuming the youngest person here, like I've only rooted for the Dolphins when they've sucked. Like I've never had a good Dolphins team. So like for me, like this is very weird how I'm usually so pessimistic, but I'm optimistic about the season, and I'm still optimistic about Mac Jones being bad. So, it's going to be a good week 1.
That was an up and down roller coaster. All right, ball game. How are you feeling, man? I know we've talked about like for months, even backstage. Me and you've been talking about like the run defense.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me right now, resting. Some coaches just don't change what they do. So history that Bill's gonna run the ball, and I think Sunday comes down to our guys really having to stand up and show that they are a lot better, a little bit better actually than they were in the last 6 games of the season, which was fine. They made some improvements, when Christian came back from being hurt, but they have to prove that they can stop the run, and then that will enhance what we do the best in terms of the secondary. But if we can't stop them, and I believe they'll do a decent job of it. They just got to stay committed for all 4 quarters, though, because all it takes is 1 or 2 big runs for guys to get momentum, and then they start doing things a lot more creative up front, and then we're screwed. You know what I mean? As long as we stay true to alignment and assignment, I think we'll be fine. You got to make sure that the second level guys are ideally just as good at playing their assignments as the first team guys are as well, because run game grinds you down, man, which means that a lot of people are going to play up front. So everybody has to be ready, and it can't be no hero ball. You know what I mean? They got to all play together up front. Otherwise, one guy trying to do too much, you leave the guy behind you out on an island, left all but naked, and then he's screwed. So, and the guy's gone, because those running backs they have are special. That's one of the reasons why they were able to get rid of and let Sony Michel go. So, because those 2 guys that they do have that are going to be toting the ball the most for them are they're special. So,
how did we not draft Ramondre Stevenson? My God. Martin, how you feeling, man? Only 5 days away from kickoff.
It's time now, man. We've spoken a lot about it throughout the off season. Winding down, we see a lot of Patriots fans out here pretty much trying to sell the hype that, this macaroni and cheese is about to be served. But I'm just gonna say, you know what? I looked at the depth chart for week 1, and I'm just going up and down the list. I'm like, you know what, man? This is solid. This is a solid team, bro. So I'm really excited. I'm really, anxious. I believe this team is ready to compete with just about anybody right now. And the craziest thing is this is still year 3 of the rebuild. And I know the expectations are sky high right now, but in my mind, I'm saying to myself, this is still year 3. So I'm like, man, I can only imagine how it's really going to look like when everything comes together, from the offensive line, Tua being, establishing himself as a super efficient quarterback, defense continuing to, get, hold on to that turnover streak. So it's exciting, man. I can't wait to this kickoff, bro. And 4 o'clock is kind of exciting for me because it's almost like in the back of my mind, I'm like, are they really trying to put the Dolphins in like primetime slots now? Because if that starts happening, we got to show up, and I'm waiting to see how we respond to like primetime slots, bro. So yeah, man.
All right, before we get into everything, quickly, patchvibes.com, use code FINSIDE to save 20% off your order. You can get a nice tumbler like this one in my hand right here. Backroomcollection.net, use code REASON to save 10% off your order. And also thrivefantasy.com, use code FINSIDE at thrivefantasy.com. Your first $100 will be matched up to the deposits for prop betting, fantasy prop betting, et cetera, et cetera. They have a $20,000 first place contest coming up this weekend, so go check them out, thrivefantasy.com. All right, let's get down to business. Besides Tua Tagovailoa, who potentially takes the biggest second-year leap this season? I'll start, and I'll be short and quick and let you guys go over. So my selection is Raekwon Davis. I think Raekwon Davis is going to have the biggest year. I think he's going to continue developing into that Chris Jones 2.0. I think, especially in the run game, I expect a leap, but also rushing the passer, I expect a big leap from him this year. So with, whether we go in the 2-man fronts or the 3-man fronts or the 4-man fronts, with him on the interior, I think now with guys like Adam Butler being able to come in and him to take some reps off, so a guy like Jason Jenkins, and then he can get fresh and come back in, I think Raekwon Davis is going to have a really big year. I think that's who I'm expecting the biggest second-year leap from. Ball game, who are you expecting the second biggest year leap from?
Brandon Jones.
Oh, because of the box state, how they're going to use him in the box?
Yep. I think his role in this 3-3-5, especially when they transfer and they convert, for third down and longs, he's going to be on the field a lot more. Down in one of those outside linebacker spots, more than likely for matchup purposes, and that gives them a prime opportunity to be right there, almost at the line of scrimmage, and deal with some of what Eric would be doing, but probably more slot duty stuff because he's got to get better at that. But I think they're gonna give him a shot at that as well. The guy has all the potential in terms of being just as good as Eric. He just got to get better in his hips. You know what I mean? And the best way to do it is to put him down there with twitchy guys, so he's forced to do it. And I think him. Because I envision he and Holland being perfectly matched for the future. So he has to take a step forward, and I think he will. So he's my guy. So
Richmond, who do you expect the biggest second-year leap from this season?
I expect the offensive line. I don't know if it happened, but to truly evaluate what Tua can do and what he should be able to do, the offensive line has got to step up and be more consistent. And I know we still got some question marks and stuff like that, but that plays a vital role. And because most people not going to evaluate Tua the correct way, they're going to just look at his stats, but they don't really look at what's going on up front. So for me, it's the 5 guys up front, stepping up, beating that challenge, and playing more consistently week in and week out. Will it happen? I don't know, but that's who I feel needs to take the biggest leap.
Mm-hmm.
Dante, who do you think needs to take the biggest second-year leap this season?
Yeah, I'm on the same wavelength here. I got Robert Hunt. I think he's going to be real nice at guard. That's what I projected him as coming out of Louisiana Lafayette. I just thought that that's where his skill set was best served. So kicking him inside, I think is awesome. I think he's going to be the mauler that the Dolphins are really looking for in there. That's what he was in college. And you got a little bit of that glimpse when he was playing right tackle. So now that he doesn't have to protect that outside shoulder as much, I think he can do a little bit better job just getting into his quick sets, getting hands on guys quick, and just moving them around using his power. So I'm really excited about him. I think he takes a big jump this year.
Klump, who do you got?
So I was going to go with Robert Hunt, but that would be boring just to follow that up. So I'm going to go a little wild card here. I'm going to go Salvin Ahmed in my opinion. He's going to take the biggest jump. I love his third down ability. I wrote an article about him. He reminds me of the James White of the New England Patriots offense, the way they can use him, wheel him out of the backfield and use him in the passing game. He's got to get better in pass protection, but I truly think he will be a weapon for the Dolphins offense this year. And a lot of people don't know he went undrafted, and it's his second year out of Washington. So I think he might make a big jump for the Dolphins this year.
Dougley, who do you got?
I was going to say Raekwon Davis, but again, I don't want to be redundant. And I was torn between two, but I'm going to go with Andrew Van Ginkel. I think him coming off the edge, and then when Jalen Phillips comes into his all, have him on the opposite side. We already saw how disruptive Andrew Van Ginkel can be, getting those turnovers, getting the pump blocks, all that good stuff. I think he's going to have a huge second year. I think he's going to be close to double-digit sacks, and I think he's going to be extremely disruptive for that defense.
Martin, who do you got, buddy?
Everything was said, man. I was gonna say Salvin Ahmed. I already had him written down. Klump went ahead and did it. So I salute you, Klump, for that one. But you know what? I'm gonna go extra here. Let me just throw out a guy that's currently on the practice squad, but we might see him bump up, throughout the season if things happen, injury or what have you. Give me your boy, man, Captain Kirk, bro. I think Captain Kirk, if he comes in here and he is forced into the lineup, and then he's forced to, beat his one-on-ones. He's forced to make plays. I can see Kirk Merritt not only being a household name down here in Miami, bro. I can see him coming onto the scene week after week, and people having to say, who is this guy? And then eventually he'll be a global name or as far as NFL status. And we can no longer put him on the practice squad after that. I think Kirk Merritt might be the guy to step up for the second year.
God knows if that happens. Imagine what our receiving core looks like at that point.
Yes.
Oh boy, don't need a repeat of last year. All right, so we talked about it a little bit. I mean, Richmond brought them up as a collective unit. Dante talked about the only stalwart we really have on the offensive line right now, which is Robert Hunt. I never thought I'd say that in his second year. But overall, does this offensive line concern you? And I mean it in the sense of this. A lot of people have put this season on the shoulders of Tua Tagovailoa. If you win, it's on the quarterback. If you lose, it's on the quarterback. That's just normally how it goes. But when you look at where this offensive line is at, I mean, Austin Jackson may never get his job back because it's not like there's a high standard to go out there and meet for Greg Little, right? So, all he's got to do is play competent, and Austin Jackson's got a problem right now. And, Liam Eichenberg is banged up, so it looks like it's going to be Jesse Davis and Greg Little, who Greg Little missed practice yesterday too, I'm pretty sure. So it's just such an absolute shit show right now at the tackle position. I'm of the firm believer that this offense goes as far as the offensive line takes them, whether it be Gaskin trying to break 1,000 yards or whether it be Tua trying to keep us in the playoff race. You got to think about it. Last year we had no significant injuries on on the defensive side of the ball, which is rare. They were able to ball out and do what they did. This year you can't. It's football. You can't be hoping everything's going to be hunky-dory and everyone's going to be healthy all over again. It just doesn't happen. And so the offense is going to need to, sooner or later, they're going to need to elevate and they're going to need to win. The defense can't win us 10 games again. They're going to need to win some ball games for us, all right? And to me, that all starts with the offensive line. So does this offensive line concern you in the fact that it could hold Tua back, it could hold the running game back, it could hold the offense back, and in the long run, it could hold this team back from a few extra wins that could be the difference between a playoff and non-playoff? Let's start with you, Martin.
It should be a concern just based off of track record, but I Homer hat on, bro. I just have that belief that these guys will figure it out, man. I think once they see that Tua is locked in, he's prepared, he's ready to do what we expect him to do, and they know it's going to be on them. I just expect these guys, especially from the interior out, to just go ahead and put it on their shoulders and say, you know what, not on our watch. And again, I kept comparing our offensive line to like how the Dallas Cowboys created their offensive line when they got, Teron Smith and Zach Martin, etc. Those guys always took their job very seriously. There was little to no playing around on and off the field. And I just believe that if the Miami Dolphins take on that approach, once they understand it's time to strap it up for real, let's not play anymore, I think they'll put it on their shoulders to just go ahead and string together 4, 5, 6 games in a row where there's just pure dominance, running and protecting. So I believe in them. I do.
Let's ask, there's no one better to ask than Richmond Webb. Richmond, does this offensive line right now at its current status, does it concern you?
Yeah, it does. I think it concerns everyone a little bit. And, that's why I said what I said in the previous answer. I think the thing is that I don't know if there's a true leader. I'm not there, but normally, you got two type of guys that lead. Some lead by example, what they do on the field, and some guys do that, but they're also the boisterous leader. And I remember when I was there, Keith Sims was more outspoken, but we worked together. But I just tried to, if I did say something, people listen, because I wasn't just a rah-rah guy, this and that. But I think somebody's got to stake up and take that leadership role and then hold guys accountable. I think if they do that, but I think people, and I already know it, that's why people will judge Tua based on the stats, but it's bigger than that. The game is won in between the trenches, offense, defensive line. You already know as an offensive lineman, you're not going to get the glory, you're not going to get the praise most of the time. But if you've been playing offensive line, that's no big deal for you. At the end of the thing, you just don't want to be the weak link. You want to be part of the team and say, hey, we did our job, we won, and it's not a glory position, but hey, you already know that. So I think they can come together. I don't know if they'll be a dominant offensive line this year, but if they can just play consistent with the weapons we got at wide receiver and stuff like that, to give him time to get the ball to the playmakers, I think we're going to be fine. I think we'll be fine, but it is some concern there.
Dougley, how worried are you by the offensive line?
Pretty worried. I was worried about the offensive line back in March, and when free agency started, I was like, all right, maybe they'll
Corey Linsley, baby, come on.
Yeah, or get Andrews, or bring Ted Karras back, and then Ted Karras went to New England, and all of a sudden Andrews went to New England, and I'm like, all right, who are we getting? And then Matt Skura, and I was like, look, that's who our center is going to be. I love the pick in Eichenberg. Fantastic. He even downgraded the fact that he allowed 0 sacks in 2 years. He was like, oh, I have a mobile quarterback. You did something there. But just seeing what we're dealing with this past week with Greg Little dealing with an illness, and then Austin Jackson potentially not playing, and then kind of seeing during the joint practices and seeing during preseason that we couldn't run the ball. Like every time we would try to run the ball, I noticed that the offensive line was getting blown back at least 2 yards. And I'm like, you can't have that if you're trying to turn around and hand the ball and then there's a guy in your face. Even Tua was just it just showed what Tua can do in a tear down pocket, because he was stepping up, stepping to the left, stepping to the right, keeping his eyes down the field. He just showed off. He was like, yeah, the offensive line is playing like garbage, but watch this. And people are shouting out me. So I loved it, but I didn't love the offensive line. And it still worries me, because if we don't get a running game going and it's all put on Tua, then it's like the Buffalo Bills game week 17 all over again, where people are like, it's Tua's fault we didn't make the playoffs. Well, what do you expect the kid to do? You know, it worries me. I like Martin said, I hope they just pull it together and all of a sudden it's 2016 unicorn offensive line and we have 1,000-yard rusher. I hope and pray for that, because you win games in the trenches, offense and defense. You win games in the trenches. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm at like about an 8 right now in concern.
Jeez, I might be right there with you too. Dante, how are you feeling about the offensive line right now? Speak from your heart. Let them know.
Oh man,
tell them what you think about Jesse Davis too while you're at it.
Dude, the Dolphins owe me retribution for having to watch Jesse Davis. Man, I'm out. Like, he's good backup, good team guy. I'm glad he's on the team. Locker room dude. Fine, cool. I'm sick of watching him play football. I think, here's my thing is, like, I'll even take a step back, because I think everyone's pretty concerned here. Is like, whether we're concerned or not, like, this football team very clearly is. Like, this is a team just like throwing offensive linemen at the wall at this point and hoping some of them stick. We went out and got Isaiah Wilson, Greg Little. We just got the guy who started for Houston a couple years from Baltimore.
Yeah,
I'm blanking on his Mance.
Greg
Yep,
Mance,
we just got him. I mean, they signed Matt Skura. Dude had the yips. They tried to bring him in to play center. Like, man, this team's concerned, whether we're concerned or not, is like irrelevant to me at this point. Like, clearly the front office is concerned. So, I'm worried about it. But I think that, they don't have to be great. I think that's like the one thing that I'm going to say is like, man, I don't think they have to be great. I just think they have to be good enough. If Tua is as advertised coming out of Alabama, if he can be a little bit more mobile this year, I think he can kind of relegate the pocket a little bit better and make the offensive line look better than they are. So they only have to be okay. And I'm not optimistic that they'll be okay, but that's a lot better than them having to be great. So I guess that's the one silver lining for me.
Jeremy, I remember you wrote an article and you said it all rests on
Matt Skura, baby.
Matt Skura.
And hey, you know the best
on the team anymore.
What's
your concern level at 12?
You know the best part about that is I got in so many Twitter arguments, people telling me Skura's elite and he's going to lead this Dolphins offensive line. Oh my God, craziness. But that is hilarious, by the way. I also ranked him the third most important player for the Dolphins this year after they signed him, so that's been great. But I thought I hated Jesse Davis. Dante, I didn't know you hated him as much as I did, which is great. Because as we're sitting here talking, I was like going through all the offensive linemen. I mean, Austin Jackson hasn't played well, but I guarantee you right now, if the Dolphins put him up for trade, someone would trade for him.
Yeah.
Same with Solomon Kinley. I think Dieter would get someone to trade for him. I think Hunt, obviously someone would trade for him. And then I go to Jesse Davis. If the Dolphins cut him today, realistically, would any team really sign him to be a starter? No way. And that's what really concerns me. It's like they don't have to be great, but they have to be okay. And like Jesse Davis, to me, there's far too many reps where he just literally doesn't touch anyone. Like in the run game, he's atrocious. And that's what scares me. He's got Tua's blind side. So like his pass blocking wasn't terrible, but if he starts whiffing in the pass game, it goes to I think Ball Game said it. Hero ball is what scares me with Tua. I don't want Tua to have to play hero ball, where he's running around trying to make plays, and then everyone's going to blame him like, oh, look at he's throwing dumb interceptions. Like I just it truly does scare me. I mean, Jesse Davis is their starting right tackle after they traded up. I think what they give up a 3rd-round pick or a 4th-round pick to move up to get Liam Eichenberg. I mean, that is extremely concerning. They traded for Isaiah Wilson.
Sam calls me.
Dude, I mean, it's so weird to me how they struggle to evaluate offensive linemen. Even like Greg Little, I wrote that they should trade for him. They trade for him, but I wrote in that like he's not the answer though. Like it's Greg Little. The only reason he's available for a 6th or 7th round pick is because he's not very good right now. So I just feel like they try to do too much. Like the coaching staff is trying to make players like players that they're not. I guess they're just trying to make them better than what
Let me
they
hit
are.
you with this, Klump. Let me hit you with this before I get to ball game's thoughts. This is what I've said about, because notice it's not just a regime thing. Other than Tannenbaum and Gase, when Tunsil fell in their lap and they already had Brandon Albert saying, okay, we're going to take Tunsil. We had Sewell fall in our lap. We could have kicked him into guard if we want. Anyways, my whole point is, when you look at the philosophy, this isn't just a regime thing. This is like, a philosophical thing that's ingrained in the Miami Dolphins organization with the offensive line the past 15, 20 years. And what's crazy? The guy who's going to take the fall for that, if anyone's going to take it, is Greer, because what if he's the one that's continuing that philosophy of how offensive linemen are being scouted right now? Right? He worked with every single one. He's been in the organization for 20 years. That's the guy everyone's going to point to and say the philosophy for drafting offensive line hasn't changed, and you're the guy who's been around for all these different regimes. So, this is like literally not. This is not a Brian Flores regime thing. That's what's really staggering about it, right? So,
I think what makes me more concerned is like even hearing you say that and putting it all together. It's like people will tell you, "Oh, the offensive line is going to be fine," or Liam Eichenberg is going to work out. Like I hope he does, but like the writing's on the wall for how things have worked out for the Dolphins. It's pretty concerning that it's not working out right now. So I'm very concerned. I mean, when we say we got an 8, someone said, I'm probably maybe a little higher than an 8 right now, honestly, because the offensive line is the most important aspect for the offense. Like Tua can be as good as he can be, but if he's getting put on his ass every play, it won't matter. It really won't matter. So I'm extremely concerned. I think the offensive line is the key to the season, and some players need to take some big jumps. Austin Jackson needs to figure something out, or Greg Little hopefully is the guy. So we'll see.
When Next Gen Stats put out that Tua Tagovailoa was the second highest evading pressure rate quarterback, I used to always talk about last year. Ball game can remember this when we broke down the all-22. It was always the sacks that people never talked about that he avoided. He avoided so many sacks last year and such piss poor blocking at times. Like Hunt and Jackson were regularly in his lap. Ted Karras was just leaky up the middle. Like it was not a good scene. Ball game. How are you feeling about the offensive line right now?
I have the same level of concern as most people, but I always look at what these guys are in terms of their youth and how they put this group together. I understand the logic behind why they went young like they did, and they want them to grow together to fortify themselves as they move forward. Kind of the same way Dallas did when they had all those young guys and they just kept them all together and kept them healthy. The difference is that we just don't have, for me, someone on the staff that has the knowledge to take such a young group and foster them together. The offensive line coach has only been coaching for a year. Yeah, he played, but he really wasn't that good, to be honest with you. So how much is a guy that like him going to really be able to give to them other than just from the, mouth service? To some degree, a lot of this comes down to having someone that can actually get out there and see what they're doing, fix it then so it doesn't become a bigger and larger issue later. And that's the coaching aspect that I always talk about over and over again. These guys, for the vast majority of them, they've gotten to where they are now at this point just based off of the fact that they're superior athletes, But coaching in football is still one of the number one requirements for success. And their ability to galvanize themselves as a group is going to some degree, require that coach to figure out exactly what makes each guy tick, and a lot of that's going to come down to his expertise and his experience too. And I just think across the board that, I said all along though that I felt like they was going to struggle. They're going to be a real slow start out the gate. They're going to get punched around. They're going to get busted in the face. But I do believe that the schedule is structured for us as such that it gives us some games in there where they can gain some confidence. And put some things together. Put a couple good games together to keep them confident and not kill their spirits. And I think where they start obviously won't be where they end, and they're gonna surprise us to some degree. But
so you were onto something with the coaching is where you're onto it.
Yeah, man.
Okay, because this is, I believe, Lemuel Jean-Pierre is the 4th offensive line coach during
Facts.
Brian Flores. They fired that first guy after a couple weeks when he said Dieter wasn't ready in Dieter's rookie year. They fired him after like 3 weeks. Then they brought in someone with Chad O'Shea. Then Steve Marshall came in last year with Chan Gailey. Now they brought in a rookie. Here's your problem. When you're drafting all these young guys, all these guys have different philosophies, different coaching techniques.
Mhm.
They stress different fundamentals more than the others. And it's all these different, like, it's been a new learning curve every year for this offensive line. Like, this is the result of no continuity. That's what this is the result of. Like, we can't get the offensive coordinator position right, but the thing that people don't talk about enough is we're not getting the positional coach, some of the positional position coach right either, right? So, like, that's the issue here. Ball game, right back to you, because you're the secondary guy. Does Xavien Howard stay healthy and play 2 full seasons back to back for the first time in his career? You're muted. And you got into it. You leaned forward and everything.
That's probably the biggest. That's probably the biggest question in regards to the defense, aside from whether they can galvanize themselves as a pretty good run stopping unit, because he's never done it, and history would say that he won't. You know what I mean? And unfortunately, I hate to be that guy, but you are only as good as what you've done previously. You know what I mean? So if you take in consideration of a 3-year average, that's not a good look for him. At some point he's gonna get dinged up, and once you go through a surgery like he had as a corner, you're never 100% ever again. Anyway, so the best of what we saw from him last year was optimistic. It was a good thing that we saw it, but in the same sense, I don't think we'll ever see that again. And I'm not banking on him finishing 17 games. No way. I mean, obviously, I love my secondary guys to death, but it's a lot of wear and tear that goes into that, and he's already coming out there undermanned in terms of his physical stature. You know what I mean? Like, his body has been beat up over the last 5 seasons. So, and it took him a long time to get into a groove at the beginning of last season. And you can see it. You can see it down the stretch that it took a toll on him, especially considering how much he, got pushed around. I said pushed around and was out of character in the Arizona game against Hopkins. You know what I mean? And it started then, but then he started taking more chances and being more optimistic and taking more chances to put him in a position where he didn't have to deal with the receiver directly. He just played the cat and mouse game against the quarterback. So I think it will see a lot more freelancing from him, but in the same sense, that can get him in trouble too, because one bad plant, one bad push off, one bad, one horrible stadium turf setting, and we're back to square one and relying on Byron Jones. So now I'm never going to think that any of the corners really going to make it the whole season, because it's just too much wear and tear, especially in the passing league.
Dante, do you think he stays healthy and plays 2 full back-to-back seasons?
No, I'm in the same boat. If we get like 14, 15 games out of Howard, I'm considering that a dub. Like that's a win, in my opinion. So if we get, I think 14 games of very good Xavien Howard, I am not going to complain about him missing 3 games, frankly, as long as he plays well. So that's where I'm at with it. I think at the end of the day, you just have to live with that. If you're the Dolphins, that he might miss a game here or there. I think, as long as he doesn't have like another catastrophic injury and misses a significant amount of time, it's not a big worry.
Where are you at on this, Doug?
I'd love for him to do back-to-back seasons for the first time, but I don't think so, and I don't think the Dolphins think so either. Hence, the restructure of his contract had so much like fine lining of like incentive based, and then the fact that Nick Needham is doing as well and did as well as he did in the preseason and everything. I think the Dolphins are hoping and praying that he plays a full season, because if he does, his team up with Byron Jones is the best tandem in the NFL, or one of. But I think, like Dante said, if we can get 14 games out of him and have it be like dispersed where he comes back towards the end of the season, help us get in that playoff hunt, and then you throw Nick Needham in there. Nick Needham can do what he needs to do to help us salvage a few games. But unfortunately, the man, 2 full seasons out of how many years? I hope it proves us wrong, but I just don't see it. And I love Xavien Howard. People who like to call us Tua stands. I'm an Xavien Howard stand. I was like, I made merch because I kept saying to Miami, get it done. And then they got it done. So I'm a huge Xavien Howard
stand. Richmond, do you think Xavien Howard, the wear and tear, especially, you could gauge, you've been around guys, I'm sure that had knee problems consistently. Do you think he can stay healthy and play 2 full seasons back to back for the first time in his career?
It's possible, but I guess the thing that concerns me with everybody now is still COVID. I think when you got a player like Howard, you got to know how to rest him. Or sometime if you see him, he need a little time, maybe spin him in the rotation. But I'm hoping he plays the whole season. I'm betting against. I guess the mentality you got to have as a player is you expect to go out there and line up, week in, week out, and then when you have a major injury like that, you find ways to compensate to say, I'm not the same player I was before I hurt this knee, but I still got to find a way to get it done. And that's just the competitive side of it. But like you say, when you're going against, like ball game brought up, you're going against a beast like Howard, it's sometimes going to show up. Or we got Diggs at Buffalo, but I'm hoping that he can make it through. So I'm betting that he will show up off 7, unless it's COVID or something like that, or like you said, maybe a hamstring or something. As long as it's nothing major, I'm good with it. But I'm hoping he can make it through the whole season.
Yeah, because if there's a catastrophic injury, this could be the end of it for him as a Dolphin.
Yeah.
Martin, your thoughts on if Xavien Howard can stay healthy and play 2 back-to-back seasons?
Yeah, basically everybody was just hitting it on the head, spot on as far as what was on my notes, bro. Potentially, yes. But the number one thing, man, and I believe Dudley brought it up, man. The ascension of Nick Needham could actually play a part in how they're going to be kind of managing Xavien Howard. Because I still believe, when it comes to back-to-back seasons of full health, I still believe that he's still going to have to sit out some games as far as, undisclosed injury or even a healthy scratch, just based off of maybe the next week's matchup. You know what I mean? Because just based off of how Nick Needham performed and how we're seeing his ascension, training camp, preseason, I can just say, off real, we can sit Xavien Howard some of these games just to have him fresh and let's see how Nick Needham kind of plays out his contract year, bro. I want to see how Nick Needham plays a part with Xavien Howard's managing, how we manage him. But fully healthy, I think he can do it. I think he can stay fully healthy this season, but he won't play 17 games. That's my thing.
What do you think, Klump?
So I'm going to go opposite of everyone just for fun here and say he does play every game this season because he wants to get paid next offseason. And if he does put another full season in and plays to his all-pro level, he's going to get paid. So I think that's going to be in his mind. I think the only way he doesn't play a game is what Richmond said, maybe the COVID situation. But I'm gonna go opposite for fun and say he wants to get paid. So even if he's got a little sore hammy, he's going to try to push through because he wants to get paid.
Dante, does the run defense take a step forward this year, even after the release of Benardrick McKinney?
No, I don't think so. I think that.
Ouch.
Yeah, here's the thing: is it's too much of the same football team. I don't know where they upgraded the front 7 per se.
Just depth, really, right?
Right. I like Christian Wilkins, think he's a good football player. Dude is a little soft against the run sometimes. It's just not his thing. It never really was, frankly. I like Adam Butler. I think he can help for sure, but he's a gap penetration guy. He's got a really nice first step. I like what he does there. So he might be able to help, but Jerome Baker, not the best run defender in the world at linebacker. I have strong feelings for Landon Roberts. None of them are positive. So I think that, it's the same front 7. So unless it's Raekwon Davis and, Christian Wilkins taking major jumps in their play, or I don't know, maybe like Jalen Phillips is just an absolute monster when he's on the field, right? Like it's got to be one of those guys. That's where the improvement is going to come from. Adam Butler's fine, but I mean, this team leaks a lot of holes. He can only plug one of them, frankly. And I don't really like the second level either. And they didn't.
You don't like
that.
Sam Miglavine, bro? Come on.
No. Yeah. Cool
Brendan Scarlett isn't the answer, bro. Come on.
No, man, they're not. So like, I don't think they're going to take a big step forward. I hope Phillips is like kind of the X factor, right? Like he's just a freak athlete. Like maybe he just goes out there and makes a bunch of really good plays. But if Davis and Wilkins, I mean, Davis is a good run defender. Don't get me wrong, but like he's not going to be overly disruptive to make up for the other stuff. So we'll see what happens. I don't think they're going to take a big jump. Maybe they take a tiny one. We'll see.
Oh, that's not good for week one at all. Richmond, what do you think? Does this run defense take a step forward?
I think it's when you let guys like McKinney go and then you don't make the improvement, I think it definitely raises question marks with everybody. But I'm thinking overall this season, I think they're going to be pretty good defensively because it's a good group. The question comes in when you go against those teams that's, like the Titans, New England, that has a good running game. Can you stop it? Because the thing is with that is that eats up so much time on the clock, and then they trying to play keep away or whatever for you. And so those are the times when you need your run defense to stand up or show up or whatever. So if we can minimize those type of things, I think we'll be okay. But I think it definitely, we talked about it on the show previously. When you let a guy like McKinney go, you bring him in to improve that second level. Once you get and you let him go, and then you really don't have nobody of that caliber in the run defense as far as a true Mike linebacker. But I'm hoping that they know something that we don't, and it kind of comes together.
Klump, what do you think about where our run defense is at right now after the McKinney release?
So I'm going to take a weird approach at it and say that they will statistically look improved because the offense will help them out. I think the offense is going to be able to move the chains, keep them off the field a little, score some points, and force teams not to be able to pound the ball down their throat, force them to have to throw on their elite secondary. So that's kind of where I'm going to go with it. I think that's the way the Dolphins can win games this year is if their offense gets going, because it'll really, really help their run defense out. If their offense gets behind and starts going 3 and out, punting the ball, it's going to be tough. It's going to be pretty obvious they shouldn't have cut someone. So I'm going to go the weird way and say that the offense will be the ones that help improve the run defense.
I like the answer. What do you think, Doug?
It worries me especially from what I saw in preseason. They were giving up a lot. They weren't giving up the big runs, but it was a lot of like 5-8, 5-8. It was like chunk runs. But then it's kind of like the way the defense worked all last season. They'll give you in between the 20s. But then once it comes that they need to like tighten it up, they'll tighten it up, take that ball back, do a lot of that stuff. But it still worries me. I think that was one of the two things that still worry me about this team. And I talked about it all camp and all preseason, that they're still giving those chunk plays that I don't like. If it's 2nd and 8, I don't want them to get a first down on that 2nd and 8, but they'll get and we'll get pressure. We'll get in the backfield. We'll miss the tackle, and then the linebacker will miss the tackle, and then we'll make the hit, but then he'll still drag it for another 5. Like it's stuff like that I'm like. But then, like, you look at the additions we have, well, the somewhat additions, but you look at the defensive line we have in Zeiler and Wilkins and Raekwon Davis and Agba, and then, Jalen Phillips, even on the outside, he's, can help set that edge and stuff. It makes you want to feel good about it, but then when you see it, you're still just like, prove it to me. And I think that's what they need to do against New England, both the offense and defensive line, because we're going off of training camp and we're going off of preseason, which is a lot of vanilla and a lot of guys not playing. So as of right now, yes, it's still, it concerns me, and especially McKinney. I think that was the biggest surprise cut for all of us, even though it kind of, when you took a step back and you looked at it, it kind of did make sense. It seemed like McKinney was more of a insurance policy on Landon Roberts, because McKinney's a one-dimensional linebacker. They needed that guy who can also drop back into coverage. McKinney wasn't good at doing that. And then once Landon Roberts came back, and all of a sudden he showed that he was healthy, they were like, all right, well, the writing was on the wall there, McKinney, because we made you sign a new contract, and now all of a sudden you're out the door. So it was there to be seen, but yeah, it's still both the trenches when it comes to stopping the run and producing run still does worry me.
What do you think, ball game? Does the run defense take a step forward this year?
I think overall, what we're probably going to wind up seeing is a little bit of what we saw in the last 6 games of the season. I think they'll be better. I don't think they'll take a huge leap, just because of the fact that traditionally what you would need to have done is improve the second level of the defense in the linebacking core, as well as put probably some more guys committed to that process up front with Raekwon. Christian Wilkins, I love him to death, but that's just not who he is. And really and truthfully, when you think about it, most teams will be running away from Agba. So Christian Wilkins and the rookie and whoever the linebacker is that they're going to start, then in the place of McKinney, probably more likely Baker, are going to have to be damn near superheroes to some degree, because that triangle of Phillips, who is a rookie, Christian Wilkins, and Baker on that left on the big end side is what I call it. They gotta play lights out, and I just don't know if one with Baker being size wise able to hold up like that. They might plug in Roberts in that position, but even then, he's not what McKinney would have brought to that position. So I'm hoping, man. Right, scheme wise, right, when we go with something maybe more bear lookish, and that'll eliminate some of the
always back to the bear with you.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, if you think about it in terms of the way it's designed, it's perfect. In the execution of trying to stop the run, I mean, every gap is covered. Everybody, it minimizes the amount of thinking guys have to do, and they can just play fast, and you don't necessarily have any holes that you really have to worry about. Two gapping puts guys in precarious situations, especially if they're not strong at the point of attack and quick to get off the blocks. So, and that's one of the things that Christian Wilkins struggles with. So, the bear would be the perfect scenario there. But, we got to see. I don't know. I don't necessarily believe that Flores really wants them or really cares about them being top 5. They just need to be somewhere not in the high 20s. As long as they're not 25th, if they can get down to maybe, 17th, 18th, that's an improvement for me. And that's good enough to be able to have this secondary, which is the strength of the team, have the secondary still eat and put the team in good position, But I do agree with what Klump said. I think the offense, they're going to be banking on the offense staying on the field for quite a bit of time to prevent teams from actually being able to feature their run games. So, and that'll be a good strategy. That'll be a very good strategy, because then you don't have to necessarily worry about your weakness being exposed every week in and week out. So, yeah.
A lot more rest than what they saw last year, too.
Yep.
So just imagine how much better they can be. Martin, what do you think? Do you think the run defense takes a step forward?
Well, as Martin, one of his most infamous characters, his introduction was always, I said, Jerome in the high watch a mile. Jerome Baker better show up, bro. You signed one of the heaviest extensions, most surprising extensions that we had this entire offseason. If this guy does not hit people like Bobby Boucher, who nobody needs to talk about his mama. Anybody talking about his mama, he need to hit the hole just like that. He need to blast people. Siler, Raekwon, Wilkes, they I think they're all going to step up. They got to make holes. They got to make whether it be lanes for these linebackers to hit the hole. As long as the interior starts making plays, as long as the interior gets pressure, I believe our linebackers have to step up. Letting go McKinney was a big issue. So now, Jerome Baker, you made your money, prove it. Elandon Roberts, you came back from injury. We let go of McKinney. You prove it too. We just need we need headbangers now, bro. And I don't care too much about size, because there's been smaller linebackers that have been laying wood for a minute, man. John Beeson, Sam Mills. Like there's guys that are always undersized. Even with Zach Thomas, he was a bigger dude clearly, but there was always something about those guys. They were willing tacklers, and I just need Jerome to just step up this year, man, because he's getting paid like it. We just got to see it. That's all.
Klump. I know you wrote an article about him a couple months back. Do you think Myles Gaskin or any current running back is going to break 1,000 yards rushing?
Not rushing, but I could see Gaskin going 1,000 total, but I don't think he'll
That's why I said rushing.
Yeah, I don't think he'll get rushing. I don't see any Dolphins running back getting 1,000 yards rushing. The way Brian Flores has talked about it all offseason, I mean, he is a firm believer in the running back by committee approach. So it really does seem like all three of them are going to get their work. And I think Ahmed's going to come in on third down. Malcolm Brown's going to get a lot more work than I thought. I mean, they really, really showcased him in the preseason, which was pretty – I mean, I didn't think he would start and play as much as he did, but, I mean, they're going to use him a lot. So I don't think Gaskin – I think maybe 800 is probably the most I see him getting this year just because of the three-way rotation. He's also got to stay healthy too, which is a huge aspect of it all. We got the whole COVID thing. He had COVID last year. So, yeah, I don't think so.
What do you think, Doug?
I wish, but I remember when I think it was Ahmed got 100 on New England. It was the first time in 2 years since Balaj did against the Vikings.
Oh yeah, Balaj, yeah.
So I was like, every game last year, I was like, can we get 100-yard rusher? Can we get 100-yard rusher? And people kept commenting, well, the team's rushing for over 100. I'm like, I don't give a shit about the team. 100-yard rusher. So I'd love it if Gaskin broke 1,000. I'd love it if Gaskin got to like 1,001 yards, but no, I don't see it. I wouldn't be surprised. Someone just got released by the Saints. Wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins went out there and scooped them up before the Ravens could, because the Ravens did it with the Dolphins getting somebody right before us. So we'll see.
Dude, I've never seen a mad scramble like I saw in fantasy leagues today when Le'Veon Bell got signed by the Baltimore Ravens.
I was like, oh, I gotta get him.
What's going on, Dante? I saw you put your hand up on the running back by committee comment.
Yeah, man, I'm just vibing that we got a running back by committee, man. Running backs don't matter to me, man. I don't give a shit, man. But I think Gaskin can get over 1,000 all total yards, but rushing, nah, man, not gonna happen. Too many dudes in the room. I think this team's going to throw the ball a lot too, just like functionally. They spent a first-round pick on a wide receiver. They got Will Fuller in there. I think the receiver room's pretty deep. You add Gesicki to that as well. Like, I think they're going to want to throw the ball around the yard. So I don't think we're going to see 1,000-yard rusher, but I do think that if they can scrape together enough rushing yards, then it'll be fine. And, as a big proponent of running backs don't matter, I'm totally down with that approach. So I hope that's the way they go. Honestly, it's the way to win in the league right now. 1,000-yard rushers, getting a guy over 100 yards per game, it doesn't really matter anymore. Those things don't always correlate to success. So for me, it's about being efficient with the running game. And I think Gaskin can do that. Honestly, I really do. I think he's a capable enough back to be that guy for us.
Side note, would you take Breece Hall in the first round next year?
No.
You're a son of a bitch. No. All right. Richmond Webb, what do you think? Are you the lone optimist amongst these pessimists of having 1,000-yard rusher?
No, I agree with Dante, and I agree with Klump. I think we're going to use the 3 running back rotation, and then with the RPO, the new offensive system we have in, along with Waddle, Fuller, Gesicki, the receivers we have, the depth we have at receiver, Devontae Parker, all those guys. I think we're going to throw the ball a lot more than we're going to run the football. So, like I believe it was Dante said, as long as we're efficient, but I think our bread and butter is going to be throwing the football. And I think, Tua does that really well at RPO. So he recognizes defense and just go out there and let him do his thing up tempo. And I think that's going to really wear some defenses down. And I think it was Klump, the previous question said, once, that helps our defense out, the longer we can stay on there. So I think he's capable of it, but I don't think it'll happen based on the way our offense is set up.
And for those who have like really not watched RPO heavy offenses, they started getting a dose of it as the preseason about how it can slowly slice and dice you up, and it's kind of like rushing the football, small chunks here, small chunks there, and adds up, and it helps with possession, right? So I know Klump watched the Eagles win a Super Bowl off an RPO offense. Ball game. Anyone crack 1,000 yards?
No, and I think a lot of it. We said a months back though that when they signed Fuller, and then they went out and got Waddle. I said all along that I thought that the running game was going to be helped by the fact that they got all these weapons out there that you can't pack the box with. You can't put 8 in the box against that now anymore. So the running game we will have will be just a component used to keep teams honest. I think, like everybody else on the panel said, they're going to be throwing the ball all over the place. But it'll be strategic to the point that, your slants, your drags, and stuff like that is an extension of the run game. So teams still have to play true to it. Linebackers still get pulled up on their first read, but then, you tossing the ball to the tight end on the, quick post behind them, and it all looks the same. So they still have to honor it as if it's a run. And then when you do hand out the ball and they're anticipating pass, then you can catch them slipping, maybe break off one here or there. But I don't think out of the group of guys that we have that there's going to be one guy that's going to have over 1,000 yards of pure rushing. Just because none of those guys, without maybe besides Brown, could withstand that type of punishment anyway. So everything that Ahmed and Gaskin get, I believe, will be off the edges. And they'll have Brown, the lone guy, trying to run between the tackles in short yardage situations. And you're not really going to fool too many teams with that. But with the RPO being in place, you can get a lot more accomplished, like I said, with the pass game, and then have them, out of sorts and hoping that you're going to run. But, you hit them with the pass and vice versa. Then that's where we get 4 or 5 yards here, 4 or 5 yards there, and then, back to the pass again, because running back committee is it, especially nowadays with, basically 11 on 11 passing league, because you can't really hit the receivers like you used to be able to anyway. So, they calling it tackle, but hell, it's really just basically just juiced up 2-man touch. So,
side note, did you see that?
Ain't lying, Richmond. Think about it.
Did you see that targeting ejection in the Ole Miss game?
Yeah.
Which one? There was like 10.
The Robinson one, the first one to that game. The Robinson one. That was brutal.
And you see the one that they gave to Bubba Bolden?
Yeah.
For his and the guy was going down, but he ain't hurt him. Like, good Lord. You heard the lose the dude for the whole game.
You won't be able to breathe on these guys, man.
Exactly. That's what I said. 11 on 11, man. It's basically just, pumped up 2-hand touch.
Yep. All right.
Go ahead.
Martin, be the one to tell me that Jared Dokes gets called up and goes for 1,000 yards.
Jared Dokes will not get called up for 1,000 yards, but I would. But I will say, out of any running backs in our current active roster, I'm gonna give it to Salvin Ahmed. That's why I had him as, the guy outside of Tua for year 2 to come in and be the most improved or showing that. I believe Salvin Ahmed can crack 1,000 yards only because I'm just going by what I seen last year. As soon as we activated him from the Cardinals game, the Chargers game, the Patriots game, he's the only one that consistently reeled off like a long game, bro, like 10 plus yards here, 10 plus yards there. I was like, yo, if this guy gets enough cracks, he can literally, break for this, and that amount of yards. But mathematically, 17 game season now, you need 14 to 15 yards per quarter. In total per quarter to get 60 yards and 60 yards over 17 games, that'll give you the 1,000 yards. I think Ahmed can actually do that, bro. If it boils down to just 15 yards a quarter, and Ahmed's already breaking off 10 yards to carry, like, or just randomly breaking off like long gains, I think Ahmed, at the end of the year when it's all said and done, I think he can be the one to kind of break that 1,000-yard rushing for us, bro. So I'm gonna give it to Ahmed this year.
Wow. Quick side note, and you guys can all just answer quickly. What was the most expensive thing y'all broke because of the Dolphins? Mine was an iPhone 8. I'm gonna lose my mind if mac and cheese noodle arm beats us. So I've only ever broke for Penguins and Dolphins games. I've only ever broken remote controls.
I put a hole in a wall. I've done that. I don't know how expensive that is though, but I put a hole in the wall.
There you go.
I don't break
Big bad Doug.
I'm not one of those people that break stuff.
Nope, me either.
I'm not anymore.
I got over that years ago.
Yeah, I know.
Years ago.
I think I was like 15. I broke a controller once, and after that, it was like, how dumb am I for that?
Once you start buying your own stuff, you're like,
Yeah, for sure.
So true.
I broke a cell phone my first Pop Warner game that I coached, and we lost by a field goal. Well, actually by a 2-point conversion. And after that, I told myself I'm never gonna get attached enough to be breaking my own shit. So no.
All right, so you guys all highlighted the passing game. Doug, we'll start with you. Is Will Fuller the Dolphins' only shot at 1,000-yard receiver this year?
I want to say yes. That's such a good question. See, it depends on the health of Devontae Parker, to be honest with you, because and not even that he gets the 1,000 yards, but if Devontae Parker can stay healthy, that will take some of the attention away from Will Fuller to allow him to potentially get the 1,000 yards. But it's like the same question with Xavien Howard we should ask about Devontae Parker as well. It's like, will this guy stay healthy? But there's a very, very good possibility that he has over 1,000 yards receiving, and I'm going to say yes. Yeah, I think like 1,050 he has.
I like it. Martin, what do you think?
I'm gonna go with yes, or excuse me. For the question, no. Is Will Fuller the only Dolphins at a shot at 1,000? I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna give that to Mike Gesicki, only because I just see Gesicki as a guy that consistently can beat a one-on-one, and when all else fails, blocking and etc. I think Tua has put enough faith in Gesicki to just put it in his vicinity, use his catch radius, and just make plays on the football. And I think with enough of those catches, he can. I think he can break 1,000 yards as well. And honestly, with Gesicki in mind, we might have to start using him like how the Raiders use Darren Waller. You know, like as far as just finding the mismatches and things like that. I think Gesicki is going to be a 1,000-yard guy in this offense this year. If not him, Wilson is still a potential, and maybe Waddle. You know, just based off of how they're going to be using him halfway. I'm just reeling out names, man. My bad, bro. Gesicki's my guy. I'm going with Gesicki for 1,000 yards.
Where you at, Klump? You heard Wilson thrown in there. I know you did.
So anyone that's hated on Albert Wilson is an idiot. He's going to be the only 1,000-yard receiver.
See, my only pushback here's my pushback on Gesicki. If everyone's healthy, Devontae's on the boundary, right? He's your X. You know, Waddle's your starting Y, and then your Z is Fuller, right? And then Wilson's probably next up, and then Preston Williams are probably next up when you talk about slot and boundary guys, right?
It's not even a primary option.
Exactly. Gesicki's targets and everything last year was because of how wilted and weathered the receiving core was last year. Like, are you really taking Jalen Waddle or Albert Wilson, two of your best route runners on the team, who are way more dynamic after the catch than Gesicki is, and they're also natural separators, which Gesicki couldn't do last year. He was in the bottom of the league at separating per route. Are you going to take those guys off? Are you going to take DVP or Fuller off the boundary for him? Like, this is my thing. Like, yes, he's going to get boundary and slot snaps, but if everyone stays healthy, it's not going to be in the abundance that it was last year. And my thing is, if he's going to produce 1,000 yards, he's going to have to show the most he's ever shown in line as a willing and capable blocker and all of that stuff, because you saw how much 12-man personnel we ran this preseason, and he wasn't even out there for it. So my whole thing with Gesicki is, this is why I'm not on the hype train off those big couple catches during the preseason because the receiving core was, again, Matt Collins and Jakeem Grant were your top option. So obviously Gesicki is going to be used and targeted, right? So when all these guys are healthy and ready to go, that's when we're going to see what the real usage of Gesicki is going to be in this offense. Ball game, you wanted to say something. Go ahead.
I think more than anything, man, at this point, based on the way with the guys that we have in that wide receiver room, Mike Gesicki is probably going to be used more as a decoy than anything. Because, I mean, at least that's what I would do. I'd line him up outside because then I know that I'm going to either have a safety going over to take him or a linebacker's got to go out there. And that's one less guy in the box that frees up some of the run elements too. They're not going to put a corner out there. He's too big for a corner, but a linebacker or a safety going to have to go out there and guard him. And then you're right back in the situations where all of the other guys across the board are in one-on-one matchups. And that's one less run defender that you got to worry about in the box. So that's the box is light then at that point. Now your run lanes, you know what I mean? I don't see him.
Do you think Fuller's our only chance at a 1,000-yard receiver?
I wouldn't say the only chance just because of how dynamic Wilson and Waddle are in the open field after the catch. I think that those guys are going to be yak machines. Mm-hmm. So I think their numbers in terms of the number of catches that they get will probably be equally distributed across the board, but their ability to actually make something happen after the catch is what probably gives them a good shot as well. And I can see those three in particular, because of that elite speed that they have, all being in the 950, 975, 980 range, and one of the guys maybe breaks loose, for something. They all have the potential to do it. Those three. Now, Preston and Parker, no. And Gesicki, no. Those big bodies, those are possession guys, 50-50 guys, And if they by chance in the red zone, they'll eat in the red zone. But as far as like 1,000 yards, no.
Klump, tell me how Albert Wilson's going to get 1,000 yards this year. You're muted.
I'm glad I was muted because what I said was it'd be pretty awesome if he does, because that would blow up on me. But I don't think Wilson will. I just think there's too many mouths to feed for anyone other than Gesicki or Fuller to get 1,000 yards. And I'm gonna touch on this a little. I think the reasons you said why Gesicki won't get 1,000 are also reasons you could flip on why he will get 1,000 though too. I think when they have all those guys out there, I think it actually gives him a mismatch as well. They're going to have to put linebackers on him, and it's going to make it tough. So it's going to be interesting to see how their offense works. When I coached, we used to use H-back or tight end for the RPO game as well and the play action pass. Like, for some reason, you can leak them up the seam so much easier once you get the RPO game going. So, I mean, they've showed it. He had that big play. I think it was 30-some yards when he got his legs chopped out. Will Fuller, though, to me is, reason knows. I wanted the Dolphins to pay him $16 million. I love Will Fuller. I've watched Will Fuller since he played high school football in PA. He is an incredible, incredible athlete. He just needs to stay healthy. I don't know if anyone knew, I broke the news that Will Fuller will be out week 1. Please credit me when you do say that. But yeah, no, honestly, it's going to be tough for Will Fuller because he just got to stay healthy. If you told me right now that Will Fuller is going to play those next 16 games, 100% I think he gets 1,000 yards. But you can't sell me on the idea that he's going to be healthy for all those games. He's already been banged up, so I don't think he's the only one, but if I had to bet money on anyone on the Dolphins to get 1,000 yards, it's going to be Will Fuller.
You killed me, bro. Richmond, who do you think? Do you think Will Fuller's our only chance?
No, I don't. It could be a situation, which I hope not, but injuries definitely play a big determination in that, and a guy miss a game and gives another guy opportunity. Everybody brought up some valid points, even with Gesicki, even looking at Waddle and Wilson with their big playability. Like ball game said, those guys yards after catch, receiver screens, stuff like that. They make a guy miss, 40, 50 yards, they can be in the end zone. So, I think it's with most quarterbacks, Martin probably can testify to this, who that guy, is comfortable with and trust in clutch situations is going to be his primary target. I mean, he'll go through his progressions, but when you need that big play, you're going to favor that guy. So whoever steps up and shows that, and I hope we have multiple guys that do that. That I don't think Fuller is the only option. I think we have some guys capable of possibly getting a 1,000-yard receiver, but it's a lot of balls to spread around. That's the biggest issue I see is we got a lot of balls to spread around to a bunch of good group of receivers.
What do you think, Dante?
I'm with most of the guys here. I don't think Will Fuller is the only guy who can get it. I think the problem, though, and everyone's pretty much mentioned this, that there's just a lot of mouths to feed in this offense. Like, I'll be honest, I would not be surprised if we don't have an 1,000-yard receiver at all and still are one of the top passing teams in the NFL. It honestly just wouldn't shock me, just because there's so many mouths to feed. And I feel like you guys are sleeping on Devontae Parker a little bit, just because I mean, I get, right, we want those separators. I mean, I've been, bitching for those for years now, but like Parker's still really damn good. Like, there's still plenty of merit in just telling him to run 50 yards and chucking the ball in the one-on-one coverage. Like, I wouldn't surprise me if he ends up being our leading receiver because of that. And I think I just have a problem betting on Will Fuller to be healthy. He's never eclipsed 900 yards in a season. Not even once. So, like, I'm not going to sit here and, like, bet on him to be a 1,000-yard receiver. Not because he doesn't have the talent. Talent's not the problem. Will Fuller's great. Love Will Fuller. Fantastic football player. It's just not, he's not a high-volume guy. He's never been a high-volume guy, so I'm not going to bet on him to be a high-volume guy. I think we're going to have a really good passing attack, and I think it's going to be spreading the ball around, making defenses cover multiple guys, making defenses worry about multiple guys from multiple formations and multiple spots. And I think that's going to prevent someone from getting 1,000 yards, but I think it's going to make us that much better. So Will Fuller could do it. I hope he does, because if Will Fuller goes for 1,000 yards, this team's going to be scary. So I hope he gets there, but I think it's a long shot.
Yeah, last year before that PED stuff struck, he was on pace for like 1,300 yards.
Yep.
Something stupid like that.
That would have been one.
And that was his first time as the featured receiver too, right? So,
Yep.
It's going to be interesting to see. I actually think he is our only chance at 1,000 yards for all the reasons you guys are mentioning. In terms of all the mouths that need to be fed and how the ball is going to be spread around. But I think when you add the combination of taking a team over the top or eating underneath, I think Will Fuller is, the best out on the roster right now at that. So he was mentioned multiple times. You guys can just, briefly let me know here. With Mark Andrews getting paid about $14 million per year, do the Dolphins pay Mike Gesicki? Klump, let's hear what you have to say.
I'm going to say no, they franchise tag him.
Ooh, Dougley, what do you say?
I think they'll wait and they'll do the same thing they did with Parker and Rowe. And if he kind of deserves it, they'll give it to him. Martin,
what do you think?
If he turns out to be Ertz in his prime, yes, they will. If not, no.
Dante, what are you thinking?
If Hunter Long is a thing, no, I don't think they pay him. But if Hunter Long doesn't come along the way that they want, I think they do end up paying him.
Ball game. Turn your mic on. Yeah.
All right, can you hear me?
No.
I don't think so, man. I'm with. I think they franchise tag him, man. They want to see a little bit more out of him. I think he has to commit, man. He has to commit to the regular, all three levels of the position. Right? It's good to be a seam guy. It's good to be a good receiver, but you got to commit to the dirty work too. So if he does that, then maybe so. But Mark Andrews does all three phases of the position very well, and that's what Gesicki has to strive to get to, because he's not there yet, right? Flash plays here and there are awesome, but you can get that from other guys on the offense. So I don't think so.
Martin, you think they pay him?
I said yeah. If he's Zach Ertz, yeah, I'll pay him. But if he doesn't show any of that, then no, I wouldn't do it.
Richmond, you think they pay him? You're muted, brother.
Okay. I said no. I think the only way is, like we mentioned previously, is he has a big year, maybe 1,000 yards receiving or whatever at the tight end position. I think that will definitely bolster them getting that deal done. But other than that, like Dante said, if Hunter Long comes along, it's going to be tougher. So possibly a franchise before they pay him. So I say no right now.
All right. I predicted Ogba last year. I guess I'll predict him again because he barely missed. But do any Dolphins players break double-digit sacks this year? Dougley, you can go because I know who your answer is going to be.
I want to say yes. And I want it to be Andrew Van Ginkel.
Van Ginkel.
Yes, sir. That was my guy too.
And I just the pressure that he gets off the edge and his disruptiveness. But I think there's going to be a few guys kind of like Ogba last year that just get there. So I think we're going to have a good amount of sacks as a defense. But as of right now, I don't see that Jason Taylor, that Cameron Wake, that one guy who's going to consistently get in the backfield and get those sacks. So I'm going to say no.
Richmond.
Well, Ogba came pretty close last year, so I like your thought process there. Van Ginkel definitely is a playmaker, and the other guy I was thinking about was Phillips. With him being a rookie, I just put him to the open side and just turn him loose. He's got those young, fresh legs, and send him to the open side and just let him go. So I don't know if he gets it, but that would be my philosophy. Turn him loose and let him hunt.
Martin, do you think any Dolphins player breaks double-digit sacks this year?
I always thought it was going to be AVG to get like 15 plus, but you know what? I'm going to go on a limb here, man. Give me Christian Wilkins, man. We need this guy to show up regardless. I need I need Christian
Wrong
Wilkins.
reason.
That's not a limb. That's a tightrope over Niagara Falls.
I need.
And it's Christian Wilkins where I walk in the tightrope too, not Martin.
But Christian Wilkins is sneaky athletic, right? So I'm just saying what and Richmond mentioned this. Jalen Phillips, if he actually starts wreaking havoc early, like I think Brian Flores needs to go ahead and eliminate this thinking game for Jalen Phillips and allow him to pin his hair back and just fire in the backfield and get as many pressures and sacks as possible. If that starts up early, I think a guy like a Christian Wilkins can take advantage of that as far as teams game planning away from him, and then him actually taking on that one-on-one blocking and really taking advantage of it. Within 17 games, bro, if Wilkins doesn't show up this year, I think we're going to move off of him, and I believe he wants to stay here. So if anyone has to ball out double-digit sacks, I'm going to throw Wilkins out there just to see if it sticks.
Yeah, I agree with Richmond too, with Jalen Phillips, because you look at Jalen Phillips' measurables and his production, he's literally the long-lost Bosa brother.
Yes.
And I think you got to use him just, pin the ears back. Like, stop with this dropping back into coverage stuff. Let him get comfortable in the league doing what he's comfortable doing right now, which is rushing the passer. Ball game.
My man gets 10.
Who's your man?
7.5.
Baker.
It's going
Okay.
to come. Listen to me. It's going to come because of the fact that they are going to allow the young boy on the outside to pin his ears back. Christian Wilkins is going to do his job of tying up the tackle. The guard and center are going to be occupied by Raekwon, and there's Jerome Baker to split the A or the B gap coming straight up. So you got to make a decision. Do the running back pick up Phillips, or try to chip Phillips, or you leave Baker coming free? So he had 7.5 last year, 2.5 more. I think he can get him, and that'll be a combination of him. Because it's going to be a beautiful thing as long as we got somebody in the middle of the occupied guard and the tackle, right? And Raekwon will do that. And if Ogba can win his one-on-one matchups, I do agree with what I think it was Dudley said. I see a huge uptick in team sacks overall because the scheme in itself and the way they're going to go about attacking teams is going to give them opportunity for guys to have multiple sacks from different locations. It's not going to be just the standard, send the 3 and then everybody dropping coverage. You're going to send 5, they're going to be sending 6. So, yeah. And I think a lot
So you
of
think we're going to be manufacturing sacks and pressures at a higher rate?
Yeah, I do. Especially out of this 3-3-5. Because all you got to do is rotate over the linebackers. Now you got an overhang guy, but you still have responsibilities where, as in the inside linebackers at that point, are penetrating the B gaps. That frees Wilkins up for one-on-one matchups, and then you still leave Agba, who spent a lot of time last year by himself on one-on-one matchups. He can win a lot. He can win most one-on-ones against most of the tackles in the league. So, yeah.
I emphatically disagree.
You don't think Agba can win those matchups by himself?
With Baker getting double-digit sacks.
Emphatic.
7.5, bro.
I emphatically disagree.
7 watch.
I'm giving you the EM quote, bro.
Right.
Watch. Just watch.
There's no.
Okay.
We gotta have another side bet. We gotta double up on the Noah bet.
Let's do it. I get 3 years with him. You know that. So anyway, I get 3 years. He'll be ready next year. He'll be ready.
Yeah. I'm gonna be on the practice squad next year too.
I don't know about that.
The chances are almost equal though. Dante, do you think we have anyone that can break double-digit sacks this year?
I think we have guys who could do it. I don't think it happens, though, for the same reason that the wide receivers aren't going to get 1,000 yards. I think there's too many dudes chomping at the bit for these sacks. Deep defensive line group. They blitz the linebackers a lot. They're going to blitz the safeties a lot. Those dudes are going to eat up sacks. There is a finite number of prime sack opportunities that you get in a football game. And the Dolphins' defensive philosophy is a team philosophy. It's not we're going to put one guy on the outside and let him go to work one-on-one on a tackle. It's we're going to team sack. We're going to keep guys in the pocket, or at least we're going to try to. And, we're going to clean up on blitzes and things like that. So, it's not really their philosophy to have a guy who's going to be a dominant 10-plus sack player. Now, do they have one on the roster? I mean, sure, Emmanuel Ogbah could get, one more sack that he did last year and be a 10-sack guy. But I think that, he could do it. Phillips certainly has the ability to be that player. And I think that maybe he develops into that player. I just don't know if that's a fair assumption for him as a rookie to say that he's going to get 10-plus sacks. But it's not the team philosophy to have that guy. It's just not. There's gonna be a ton of dudes with like 7-8 sacks on this football team. They're gonna get after the quarterback. They're gonna be incredibly disruptive. I think we'll be towards the top of the NFL in team sacks, but I don't think we're gonna see someone really push above 10. It's just not what this team wants to do.
What do you think, Klump?
Well, I thought you all covered everything very well, but I will say this. I believe there are 2 players on the Dolphins that will have double-digit sacks. Austin Jackson and Jesse Davis will give up double-digit sacks. In my opinion, that is my interpretation of it, because you guys covered it all, so I'm going to switch it up a little. I believe
you piqued my interest for a second.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you guys covered it. I mean, I was actually going to say Baker just for fun, but ball game got you good there. So, Baker for real, though, if you think about it, what do you have, 7.5 last year? So
you're going to get 2 emphaticallys from Reason.
I emphatically disagree.
No, yeah, 7.5. Yep.
7. Yeah, so Austin Jackson's my bet. Biggest opportunity for 10-plus sacks. So
Florida-born says Zach Seiler trying to get that man out of the camper.
Yeah.
So you think Zach Seiler's going to get double digits?
In all honesty, he's the only interior I believe that can literally reach that though, like legit reach that sack margin, because
he plays on the end. They use him on the end, and they use him on the end too, right?
Yeah. He's always in there, bro. Like he can get it.
All right, let's we got 3. We'll go through our offensive, defensive rookie of the years, and then the prediction for MVP, and then I got to put our predictions together in a nice little video. So, all right. So, Martin, who is your offensive rookie of the year for the Miami Dolphins?
Jalen Waddle.
That was easy. Dante, who's yours?
I'm going to be original here and go with Jalen Waddle.
Jeremy Klump, who's yours?
I'm gonna say Liam Eichenberg when he takes over for Jesse Davis at right tackle.
There you go. Keep harping on him, eh?
Sorry, Omar. Sorry.
Dougley, who do you think is going to be offensive rookie of the year?
I'm gonna go Waddle.
Richmond Webb, who do you think is going to be the offensive rookie of the year?
I'm going with Waddle too. Yeah.
Love it. Ball game.
Do I really have to answer this one?
Well, but you might say Robert Jones. I don't know.
I'm gonna say the wide receiver from Alabama.
Jalen Waddle. Like, doesn't even want to say his name. I'll say
rookie, is he?
Who?
They said him already enough. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I agree with you guys on that one. Okay, here's a bit of a better one. We'll start with you, Ball Game. Who's your defensive rookie of the year for the Miami Dolphins?
Holland.
Yeah,
Surprise.
I know, eh? Dougley, who's yours?
I'm actually gonna go Holland.
Richmond, who's yours?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Holland. I'm gonna ride that wave. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that.
Okay, I'm saying Jalen Phillips, just so everyone knows originally. Klump, who are you saying?
I'm gonna go with Holland.
Dante, and I know how big of a Holland fan you are, Dante.
Yeah,
so.
give me Jalen Phillips, baby. Let's go. give me some pass rush.
Martin, who's your defensive rookie of the year?
I think it's gonna be Javon Holland, ball hawk. Let him loose.
Yep.
Look at you guys, not even looking into the depth chart with him behind McCourty right now. Don't matter.
That's just a game one.
Don't even matter.
It don't matter because even the media writers are coming out and being like Jalen Phillips third string when he's working with the ones when he's healthy. Like they ain't telling us what's going on with that defense. All right. So by the end of it, who was your prediction for the MVP of the Miami Dolphins for this season? Dante, start with you.
Oh man, I don't want to go first. I'm gonna take a crazy one. I think Byron Jones bounces back, and we got like two like crazy elite corners. So I'll take Byron Jones. Think he has a big year.
Get out my head, man. Get out my head.
I don't want to take like the cop out one, so I'm gonna try to go a little creative here. I'm gonna dig really
deep. Don't you dare say Jerome Baker.
No, I'm gonna say Michael Dieter. I'm gonna say Dieter's the MVP of the Dolphins because I think that he's gonna figure it out. I mean, I was not a believer in him, but the way that he's been working out at center, if he can fix that offensive line and be the leader of the offensive line, I think he will be. No one will give him the MVP, but I think he could be the MVP of the Dolphins.
That's a great choice.
Richmond, who do you think is going to be the MVP?
I'm going with Tua. I think he's gonna have a big year, especially if he runs that RPO offense like we expect him to and spread the ball around, and his numbers look good. He'll have the biggest leap, the biggest improvement, this and that. So I'm going with Tua.
Dougley.
I'm going with Tua. Shout out to Pat Vibes.
There you go.
Inside the NFL, you still have 20% off.
That was perfect.
Salute that, man.
Martin, who do you think?
I wanted to do Tua, and I'm actually gonna go with Albert Wilson. I want to see what I've been seeing in camp. Just complete dominance in the deep ball, making huge plays for the team in necessary situations. Give me Albert Wilson to come out on top as far as the MVP for this team.
I can feel
the steam coming out of his ears.
Yeah. Klump shooting shots, looks at you through the internet right now.
Well, I kind of hope it happens though. It's just fun. like it's the amount of people that tweet at me every time there's like a highlight of Albert Wilson is so
amazing. You're welcome, Klump.
Crazy.
Ball game. Your prediction for MVP.
It doesn't happen without the tight end eraser, Eric Rowe.
Eric Rowe. Wow. So I'm gonna pick Tua. I think Tua is gonna have 4,200 yards, 30 plus touchdowns, and I think he'll only sit in between 8 to 12 interceptions. So I think, all right, now let's get into our predictions here for this regular season. So starting off here, we're going fancy schmancy compared to last year. Let it come up here. There you go. All right. So for week 1, all of us resoundingly picked them to win against the New England Patriots. So as much shit as Klump talks about this guy potentially being great and Mac Jones, he obviously doesn't believe him enough.
No shot.
So, I mean, can we all agree that, it's going to be Mac Jones and his inexperience against his defense, or like, is there anyone who else has any other take? Like, because we all clearly think they're going to do enough to stop the run if we all pick them to win.
I think we're all in a good space in regards to that. I just want to give you a shout out, man. That's a nice little.
It's a nice part.
Yeah, it's nice that you did that. That's nice right there.
I want to add the subtraction of Stephon Gilmore.
Yep.
So that's really going to help the offense, move the ball. Like we were talking about the RPO, they're just going to take their time and march down the field. And, they don't have Stephon Gilmore on the other side. So they got to rely on one good corner. Like, he's not a bad corner, but it's like the Dolphins last year against Buffalo. Byron goes down. All of a sudden we got Noah. So.
I was talking to EM today. You know how imperative it's going to be that we stop the run? Do you guys remember week 1 last year where we only got like a couple drives in the first half?
Yep. They kept pounding the rock. Yep.
Yeah, and they just kept killing us on the ground, right? So
with Cam Newton.
Yeah, with Cam Newton. So it's going to be imperative that we obviously stop the run, right? So all right.
The Patriots are also starting Jalen Mills, right? He's absolutely trash. Just throwing that out there.
Yeah, he's got the Parker or Preston matchup. Depending on which route they go.
Let me get going here. All right, so on week 2, at home against the Bills, me, Ballgame, Klump, and Dante have chosen L's. Obviously Richmond, Doug, and Martin have chosen them to win. I'll start off, and then Ballgame, Klump, Dante, take it away. I just don't think right now, I think the Bills are the team to beat in the, I think them and the Chiefs are the team to beat. I think this is going to be another year of forward progress for Josh Allen, which obviously doesn't bode well from us. And my whole thing is we've always shown that we have problems handling mobile quarterbacks until they show me that changes, which I know a guy like Jalen Phillips can change that dynamic. Until they show me that they can change that, I don't see us winning this game and actually have them sweeping us this season. Go ahead, Ballgame.
I have much of the same concerns. I think it's too early on. Josh Allen presents more of a challenge that we, like you said, he's a puzzle that we haven't figured out yet. And until we prove that we can, I think they're the better team right now. Offensively, they match up pretty well with us against this defense just because of what Allen brings to the table. We don't, Phillips has to prove that he's the equalizer of Allen and, can erase Allen from the process. But, until they do that, they're the better team. And it hurts to say that, but it is what it is. I don't have them sweeping us, though.
Klump, what are you thinking?
I just think Josh Allen's too good. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised one bit if the year's over and Josh Allen wins MVP. I think he's that good of a player. So I think it's too early in the year. Josh Allen's going to be rolling right off the beginning. Everyone will be healthy, hopefully, for each team, but I'm sure the Bills will be pretty healthy as well. So I think they added Emmanuel Sanders as well, which is pretty underrated. So, they're loaded everywhere. So the Dolphins are getting better. I just don't think they match up well with the Bills.
Yeah, and a lot of the players, just like the Bucks, Milano took less money. A lot of these guys took less to come back, and they have like the same core. Dante, what are you thinking?
Yeah, I think you guys covered it. I just don't think it's a good matchup. Like Josh Allen is just like, until they stop him, I am not going to be optimistic about them being able to do it. Like I haven't, even when he was bad, we couldn't stop him. and now he's good. So like, you know, like I'm just not gonna,
He's a problem.
He's a problem. So it's just a bad matchup. I think we can compete. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout or anything, but it's just not. It's tough to give them the win there.
On the flip side, Doug, Richmond, Martin, you guys believe that we're gonna win and start off 2-0. Doug, what do you think is gonna be different this year against a team like the Bills?
Hopefully Byron doesn't get knocked out the second play of the game. But even with that happening and with Noah Igbenogany getting torched by Stephon Diggs all game, we lost by 3. And we could have won it if it wasn't for a few dropped interceptions from Kyle Van Noy and some other guys. So the fact that we were that close at home, I still think that there is a chance. Now, it might still be the same type of score, just flipped. But I could see the Dolphins pulling that one off at home. Away, I don't know about that, but we'll get to that.
Martin, what do you think?
Well, I'm actually looking at how the Dolphins start up against the Patriots and the familiarity there, as far as our 2 games last year with Brian Flores at the helm, how we beat them our first year in Week 17 in 2019. Like I think the Dolphins have enough confidence in preparing for the Patriots that there might be a kind of looking forward to the Bills, and the Bills are kind of coming off of a grudge match against Pittsburgh, bro. Like they're not talking about that Pittsburgh game enough as far as the Bills going head to head Week 1. They might have a lot of nicks and bruises, and they're gonna. I think they're gonna be not as fresh as they would like to be against a Dolphins team that's actually ready and prepared to play them come Week 2 this year. So I just see the Dolphins kind of taking advantage of those scenarios and just coming out with a win.
Richmond, you believe they're going to start off 2-0?
Oh, no doubt. I believe it. I don't believe if Jones, we don't have an injury like that. The other thing I'm banking on, which has been on, Buffalo is coming to Miami. That's a 1:00 game. So if it's hot and humid, the second half, you can see some guys cramping up, locking up, and that heat does play a difference. So I'm counting on it being a really hot, humid day. And if we kind of play the way like Dudley said, it was a 3-point loss. I think we swing that. We don't lose Byron Jones. I think we win that game. So if that game was in Buffalo, I'd have went the other way. But since it's a home game early in the season, I'm going with the Dolphins.
All right. So then the next week we play the Las Vegas Raiders, and it's pretty much, other than Richmond and Martin, all of us believe that we're going to take that W. Myself, Dougley, Ball Game, Klump, Dante. Martin and Richmond, since there's just 2 of you guys, what do you think the difference is this year? Do you think it's not having Fitzpatrick?
No, I don't think it's that. I just base it on flying. That's about a 5-hour flight going out to the West Coast. It was a close game last year and kind of a fluke play. I think we will play better, but we had some matchup problems with their tight end. So I said since it's a away game, I think we'll be in the game, but I can see us possibly not pulling that one out. So I went with the Raiders on that.
Klump, make the point for all of us of why we think they're going to win the game.
I just don't think the Raiders are a very good football team. That's what it comes down to for me. Like I'm like one of the biggest John Gruden guys. I love Mike Mayock. It's just like, as much as I love them as people, they've just struggled like as talent evaluators. Honestly, their drafts have not been too great. I just don't think they have the roster to compete this year. I think they're going to be one of the bigger letdowns this season. I think the Dolphins are a better team, and that's what it comes down to. I mean, I like what Richmond said, though. I mean, that's definitely a huge factor in the whole thing, that they will be having the Dolphins travel there, playing on the West Coast and stuff. But I still just think, I mean, Miami's just better than them, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. All right, so then we travel to face Klump's boy Wentz. We come back home and we play Indianapolis. Myself, Ball Game, and Klump all believe we take that L. Richmond, Doug, Martin, and Dante believe we take that W. Dante, why do you think the Miami Dolphins win this football game?
I think the Colts are overrated, honestly. I really do. I think that I don't think Carson Wentz is very good. I think he'll be better than he was last year because, I mean,
Wentz
he
is
was the worst quarterback ever last year. But,
Ooh.
you
You're
know,
gonna
I
kill
think
Klump. You're gonna kill Klump.
I know. I mean, I just think they're overrated. I don't think they have good weapons on the outside. I don't really like their receivers. Jonathan Taylor, you know, that's going to be a problem for sure. But the rest of that offensive line, outside of Quentin Nelson and Brandon Smith, not very good. I think we can poke some holes in that line. That left tackle spot's a big worry for them right now. They might be rolling out, you know, Eric Fisher if he's healthy. I mean, he really wasn't that good for the Chiefs last year. Sam Tevi's the other guy. He's trash. So I think we can poke holes in that. Their defense is good. It'll be a close football game, but I think that's a winnable game. I don't think the Colts are as good as everyone thinks they are.
Ball game. I'm not going to go to Klump because I know I'm going to hear about Wentz for 5 minutes. Ball game. Why? I know you can speak soundly for us on the L side. Why do you think they take this L?
Because for some strange reason, man, Frank Wright seems to be able to get the best out of Carson Wentz.
I agree.
And I don't know what it is, and I do know what it is. Some guys just played better for certain guys, and the best we saw of him was when Wright was there with them, and I believe they get that love affair going again. And him, you know, a focused Carson Wentz with Jonathan Taylor and that offensive line, man, is a problem. You know, and I think it presents a bigger problem for us than we faced in week 1 with the Patriots, to be truthful with you, because they will commit to running that ball, and that offensive line is pretty good at I don't necessarily agree that Nelson and Smith are the only ones up front that are worth it there. That's a pretty good line. And I just think, you know, that's just will really be a horrible matchup for us.
I actually think Jonathan Taylor is going to be in the running for the rushing title this year.
Wow.
So that's why I think that's why our main problem is going to happen. You nailed it on the head with worse than the Patriots. I think stopping that run against Jonathan Taylor. Yeah, I think he's better than anything. Maybe Josh Jacobs might be the only other guy in the first 4 weeks that's on his level, but I think this guy's going to be in the running for the rushing title this year. Mm-hmm. All right. So then we travel to Tampa Bay to take on the Bucks, and it's L's across the board. I don't, you know, even Dougley stopped his winning streak and said, "I don't know about this one."
We got to be realistic at some point.
Yeah.
So, I don't even think we got to really give you all the reasons why. Defending Super Bowl champs, like this defense is beastly. Their offense is absolutely beastly.
We'll win it though. Watch.
Yeah, I know. Now. On the flip side, the resounding, just like week 1, we all believe that they're going to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars. So obviously we believe. Let me ask you this. Okay, anyone can answer this. I'll throw it out. Last year when we played them, James Robinson actually gave us a little bit of an issue, right? He was a little bit of a handful. But, you know, Laviska Shenault could take that step this year. DJ Chark's fully healthy. Sadly, they don't have Tim Tebow in line anymore, so no blocks we can blow up. Does anyone think that this is a game? I know Dougley just said, you know, we could win it. Watch, they'll win it against Tampa. On the flip side, is this going to be one of those trap games that we take that L? Potentially?
I don't think this is the trap game. You will get to the trap game, but I think Brian Flores just has a way of getting in rookie quarterbacks' heads, and that's why I gave him the W.
Yeah.
My thought process for this being a trap game is that it's in London. That's like the only thing that makes me think, like, you know, maybe they have a bad flight and they just get off and they're not themselves, and Jacksonville takes them by surprise. But I don't know. I think they'll be. I don't think Jacksonville's very good, frankly. So.
All right. Okay, so the next week we come back home, and if everything goes well with COVID, I'll be at this game. We play the Atlanta Falcons, and Martin is the only person who thinks we're going to lose this game. So Martin, the floor is yours, my friend.
Yes, sir. I'm still a believer in Matt Ryan. I'm sorry. The way their offense operated, even in the joint practices, it just I don't know. There's just something in the back of my mind. I'm like, yo, it's gonna be difficult to kind of slow them down or completely stop them, especially with Calvin Ridley taking like how we seen Will Fuller take on that role of I'm the new number one. I think Calvin Ridley is about to set the whole league on fire, bro. And I don't know if Xavien is going to be enough. And obviously, defensively, they weren't playing all of their starters, so I think we're going to see different looks altogether. And I just think it's just going to be one of those surprise outcomes. Like wow, they were better than we assumed they were. So sneaky loss.
Klump, you're betting against your man Kyle Pitts. Explain yourself.
Yeah, I did. Right, I did do my predictions in the Dolphin Digest magazine, and I did note that Kyle Pitts will score a touchdown in this game, just so everyone knows. But I mean, dude, the Falcons. I love Matt Ryan. I obviously love Kyle Pitts, PA guys. I always stand up for my PA guys. They're just not good enough, in my opinion. Like their defense, I don't think we'll be able to do. I mean, the Dolphins should dominate this game. I think I predicted it like. I want to say 35-14 or something crazy like that. The Dolphins should put up points on these guys. I don't see how they don't. I mean, I don't think their running back situation's that good. I mean, who did they get? Mike Davis in the offseason. I don't trust him at all. It's just this should be one of those games that the Dolphins win pretty easily.
All right, then Halloween night, we go and travel to Buffalo. Sorry, Halloween afternoon, I should say. And all of us have us taking an L except Mr. Ballgame. Ballgame has us winning. Hold on, let me check this. Me and Klump and Dante have them getting swept by the Buffalo Bills. Ballgame, you have them winning this game. And a 3-game winning streak.
Yep. I think once we get past the first 6, I think they'll have an identity established. And the last thing I think Flores is going to allow this team to do is get themselves in a position where they have to concede number 2 in the division to the Bills. Because if you do that, then you're pretty much setting yourself up to believe that you'll never get past them. And it's a must-win game for them. I think it's a crucial point in the season game as opposed to some of the others left to come. And I think he rallies the troops, and they pull it off. It's a close game. I had it. Score-wise, I had it at 24-17, 1 touchdown. But I think they figured Josh Allen out. They got enough time, healthy. They figure him out and slow him down enough to be able to pull it off. So.
Richmond, you've traveled to Buffalo many a time, having to get off the plane, knowing you're going to face Bruce Smith in his house. You have them losing this game after winning at home against Buffalo. What changed? Just a matter of home field advantage for you?
Home field advantage, grudge match. They're at home, and it really gets loud, the crowd noise in Buffalo. So could be some issues for our offensive line as far as protection, this and that. So if we beat them down here in September, they're definitely going to be looking to try to redeem themselves in October. So that's kind of where I looked at it, yeah.
Okay, so after Halloween, the Dolphins return home for the Massage Therapist Bowl on November 7th against the Houston Texans. Now, we've all picked them to get the W here. Doug, is this your trap game?
Yeah, this is the trap game. 100%. Because you're looking at the Texans, right? The Texans they're trying to get the first overall pick. Like we're not going to beat around that bush. There's the whole tank for Tua crap. They're trying to get the first. They need a quarterback. They don't want, Watson. They need a quarterback. So I think they try. Players don't not play. You can ask Richmond Webb. You're never going to tell a player don't play this game. We want a first overall pick. So this might be that trap game. And I'm going to this game, and I swear if it's the trap game, I'm going to break something else.
I'll see you there because if everything goes well with COVID, I'll be there for the Falcons and the Texans.
Awesome.
So we'll have to do a get together. Anyone else got thoughts on the massage therapy bowl?
I just don't think the Texans are very good, honestly. And not to make a joke out of this, I want to say this before I say this, but I think it'll be a happy ending for the Dolphins.
Oh, you had to go there, didn't you?
Oh, Lord.
All right.
Lightning Brown
Now
eye, got him.
on 11/11, make a wish.
Mm.
And Klump, you're about to get put on the spot.
Wow.
We go in on a Thursday night game. I believe this is our first primetime game up until this point, right?
Yes.
UK could be considered one, I guess.
Yeah. All right. So we all chose the L except Jeremy Klump. Explain yourself, Klump, because last time we faced Lamar Jackson, he put almost 500 yards up on us through the air.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson is a great running quarterback. I'm one of those people that will never believe in him. I don't know what it is, man. I want him to progress as a passer, and I just never see it. Like, no matter what people say to me, when I watch him play football, he's just not an NFL passer, in my opinion. And yes, I know they can run the ball. I mean, they're pretty thin at running back right now anyway, so we'll see what happens with Gus Edwards if he can stay healthy. If not, Lev Bell's going to be their guy. So, I mean, that's not too good for him. But I just think they're very injury prone. Your boy Bateman's hurt already. I mean, Marquise Brown's very injury prone. Mark Andrews misses games. I don't know. This is one of those games, I wrote this, that I think this is where they start a good winning streak. I think they win this big game, and it starts like the winning streak for the Dolphins. I just feel good about it. I don't know why. I think they're going to crush Lamar Jackson this year. I really do. I don't think Lamar Jackson's going to have a good game. I think that Brian Flores probably lost sleep. I think everyone loses sleep over Lamar Jackson, but I bet they figure him out, and I think they win the game.
Dante, tell him why he's nuts.
Here's the thing is, like, I don't think Lamar Jackson has to be an NFL caliber passer for the Ravens to beat the Dolphins. Like, it's just like the worst possible matchup that I could draw up would be the Ravens. Like, it's just not like we don't defend the run. I mean, it might even be beneficial to them if Lamar Jackson's a bad passer because they won't throw the football. So, like, they're just going to pound this in the face. The offensive line's pretty good. I don't really care who's back there at running back. I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference if it's Gus or if it's Le'Veon or someone else they get off the street. I think they're going to gash us. I think Lamar Jackson will kill us in the running game. Ravens defense is very good. They've always just had our number, like, just in general, like, as a Dolphins fan, like, I just see the Ravens and it scares me. So I don't think Lamar's arm is going to matter. I really don't. I think they're good enough to beat us without it at the end of the day. And it's just a bad matchup. It really is.
I want to add one thing that I forgot to say, and what I kind of didn't touch on with the arm aspect, and I mentioned it before about the run defense. I think that the Dolphins' offense will succeed against them and force Lamar Jackson to have to throw the ball. And if they get the Ravens down in the game and they need to play catch up, I don't think they're going to win. I don't think Lamar Jackson can win this game if he has to throw the football, and I think they're going to make him throw the football.
Bold. All right, so now they travel for the MetLife takeover. And we all have us giving them Zach Wilson the work in his own house. Does anyone want to speak on this? I mean, can we all basically say that if we think, we think Zach, I mean, Dante, I mean, you're the biggest Zach Wilson guy up here. What do you think? What do you think happens with this one?
I mean, I just don't think the Jets are good enough. Yeah. Like, outside of like Zach Wilson, like, they're probably another year away, even just taking all the improvements that they made. I just don't think this is a very good football team still. Next year, we might be having a different conversation because I actually do like what the Jets are doing from a team building perspective. But right now, I think Miami is clearly the better team, and rookie quarterback against Brian Flores, don't like those odds for the rookie quarterback.
So this is where the winning streak starts for me, the one you were talking about, Klump. Then they go home, and we all selected it, shockingly, for 3-game homestand. They go off and they beat the Carolina Panthers. Ball game. Yeah, no one obviously believes that Sam Darnold can give us the work. If Christian McCaffrey is healthy, does he bode a legitimate matchup problem for us?
Well, I think we've seen throughout with Taylor and that New England run game, and even James Robinson. I think that by this point then, and having played the Ravens, I think they'd have figured it out to some degree to slow down the run game of whoever they're going to face down the stretch. So aside from that, we match up pretty well. We match up actually extremely well with their receivers. They're fast, but they're small guys that can, you get your hands on them, disrupt their routes. It plays right into our favor. Right into right into what we love to do in our press coverage and things of that nature. So I don't really see the Panthers having anything that we need to worry about. By then, hopefully the O-line is, the balls have dropped, and then Brian Burns isn't wrecking havoc. So that's about it. I mean, I can't think of anybody else over there that really scares me.
Derek Brown, Yetur Gross-Matos.
Yeah, I'm sticking with Brian Burns, bro. Those guys are good, but like he's premier, and if we can slow him down, then the rest just have to work for whatever else they can get.
They also got that beast safety Jeremy Chin too. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I think we're gonna handle them, no problem. All right, then we take on the Giants, and all of us have us taking the W in that one. Martin, why does no one have any faith that Daniel Jones will beat us?
I actually think it's bigger than the players, man. This is still Joe Judge, a Patriots coach, and we can clearly see that Brian Flores has this thing about being, the main guy in the room, and I just believe when he's going head to head against like former coaches, especially from the Patriots, he just always has a leg up on these guys. So I just believe that that's one of those games where we can, just use what we do best and just be another Patriots protege. That's all.
All right. Then we're home again for the third game of the 3-game homestand, and we're now against the Jets again. Like clockwork, we all pick W's. This is also, I believe, a flex time, right? Like this might actually turn into prime time.
Yeah.
So, especially if we're in the playoff hunt. So, I mean, not much to say that hasn't already been said about how we feel about the Jets. I actually agree with Dante. I think what Joe Douglas, I said this last year, and I got called out by people in the chat. Oh, I'm a Jets fan or whatever, but I like I think Joe Douglas is a great GM. I think they have a better offensive line than we do right now. Okay. I think, I don't think Michael Carter is the answer at running back, but I think once they get a legit alpha running back, I think Elijah Moore is good. They got Jameson Crowder again, and Crowder quietly always puts up numbers. I just think their defense is a real work in progress right now. So, and then we go for Monday Night Football 2 days after Christmas, and all of us expected W except the legendary Richmond Webb. Richmond, talk to us. What goes wrong?
Hey, man, I looked and I had 4 W's in a row, and I just said, man, it's hard to go 5.
Yeah, too good to be true.
Yeah.
That was my thought process. That's, to be honest with you, that's the only reason I put an L there. And it was a away game, so I said,
It's a more reasonable answer than Jameis Winston balling out against our defense. All right. Then we stay on the road and we go and face the former Dolphin, Ryan Tannehill. We all have them taking the L except Martin. Martin, you have us in the midst of a 6-game winning streak. What do we do to shut down Derrick Henry and to keep Tannehill, Julio Jones, AJ Brown, and then on that offense, all at bay?
I still think it's the same formula that the Ravens used in the playoffs last year. If you completely smother Derrick Henry, they have no offense because Ryan Tannehill has not shown as of yet that he can just completely carry the team on his back by himself on a consistent basis. And this late into the season, playoffs is on the line. If there's any type of tie between Miami and some other team like the Tennessee Titans, I just see us being over prepared and just going in there. Another Patriots protege and Mike Vrabel. Let's just go ahead and keep racking these wins against these guys. So we'll let it be known that we have the best, Bill Belichick, coach pretty much. So that was my thought around it.
All right, and then the final game of the season is at home as we get into January 9th against the New England Patriots. So Doug, I know you said you were split. I just put you down as an L.
Okay.
But I know you said you were split. I'll let you give your thoughts on the whole split in a minute. Dante, because me, Richmond, Ballgame, Martin, and Klump have us winning. Dante, what are your thoughts going into that last week?
Yeah, here's the deal. I needed to smush another L in there somewhere. So like that's no, like I started out and I was like, all right, this is an 11-win ball club, and however the hell I have to get there is how I'm going to get there, and that is how I got there. Is they're going to have to take the L to the Patriots once, and like that's a very winnable game, obviously. I just have a hard time believing that we sweep New England just because like. They've terrorized me my entire life. So it's like, I don't think we're going to sweep them. And you can flip those two, whatever. I don't care. I had to get another L in there.
Doug, now you're technically not an L. You're like split on this one. It could go either way. What are your thoughts on this week 17 matchup?
Yeah.
Week 18, sorry. I apologize.
If I had to pick a game with the series with New England that we would lose, it's not that one. It would be week 1, but I can't, for some reason, I can't see them losing week 1, and I can't see them losing at home to New England. So like Dante said, I'm sitting here and I'm like, do I really have the Dolphins doing what I'm like? Because then I look at like these other games where I have W's, like the Colts game. Is Carson Wentz going to even make that game? And then like I'm looking at all these and I'm just like, when you texted me, I was like, here, and then you're like, oh wow, and I'm like, yeah, man, I don't know, I gotta put an L in here somewhere. So yeah, I could see them winning, losing 5 to 4 games.
I've been 12-5 consistently. So,
Klump, you think we're gonna win this last game?
Yeah, I don't believe in I think Mac Jones will be solid. I just don't believe in Mac Jones against the Dolphins defense this year. Nelson Aguilar, I don't know if any of you know, but he had a good year for the Raiders, I guess, because he was catching deep balls, but Nelson Aguilar is not the answer at receiver. I mean, I know they're going back to their 2 tight end sets. They got the running back situation. Their offensive line's great. I don't know. There's something about the way I just think the Dolphins match up too good against them if they stop the run. I think they will. I don't think Mac Jones will be able to beat the Dolphins this year.
So me, Richmond, and Dante have them going 11-6. Doug has them winning 12 or 13 games. Ballgame, Martin, and Klump all have us at 12-5 here.
Yeah.
My question to you guys is 11 games, because that's obviously the low end here. Is 11 games enough to get into the playoffs?
It's gonna be borderline.
Yeah, we're borderline. Yeah, the squeaky. That's a squeaker. If we do it, I mean, someone else took a nail at the wrong time and pushed you and helped you get in. Which I don't necessarily know if you deserve to get in if you can't get in on your own. 12 would do it. 11 or 10 definitely not gonna. You gotta have 12.
So me and Doug talked about it in text, and I've talked about it a bunch up here. Clearly look at our records right now. All right. The expectations have arrived for this team to not just be a winning, like a above 500 team, but to legitimately be a winning team this year. What happens if those expectations are not met? I asked this to Omar Kelly. He said heads won't roll, just positional coaches and little sidekicks and the mini men will roll. If we come out and we win 5, 6, 7 games, do you think any major changes happen?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Doug. Why?
I honestly think that the fan base is going to blame the wrong people. I think Stephen Ross is going to be upset. We already heard him say Super Bowl within the next how many years. Someone needs to be blamed from going from 5 wins to 10 wins to 5 wins. What is the regression? Why aren't we still going up? If you had all this money, all these draft picks, all this stuff, who is getting blamed? And we all know that Tua is probably going to get moved because, like I said, someone is going to get blamed either by the fan base or by anybody wrongly. And we know that the one who's got the spotlight on him for the dumbest reason is Tua. So Tua could have a good however many games season, and they'll still be like, well, we only won 5 games, so
Yeah.
it's his fault. We want him out of here. And then, you drafted him, and you drafted him, Jackson, Noah. We need a new GM. And then, Flores, we like someone's getting blamed and someone's getting moved. And it's a big regression back to before we had the draft picks and the money. So heads will roll. And us being the YouTubers and the writers, and I'm turning my phone off.
Yeah, I know. You know what the crazy thing is, though? I really think you have to. It's either Wanstead or Jimmy Johnson are the last coach to improve their win records 3 years in a row. Like you have to go back like 20 years to find a coach that we've had that improved win total year by year over 3 seasons. So like, that's why like I'm not being pessimistic. I'm being like, I'm a Dolphins fan with PTSD. You know what I mean? Like this is what I've been through.
This is precisely why I always kept saying they should have just won 8 games, man. No. Realistically, think about it. Then the expectations aren't through the roof. But you win 10, right? Right there on the cusp of getting in the playoffs. Now everybody expects you to make that next leap, and you have to. This team has to learn how to win the games that nobody really thinks they can win, and they got to go out and dominate, right? We want respect around the league. We want respect from, everybody looking at this squad. You got to go out and earn it. So I just think they're a young group that's still trying to figure out their identity, especially on offense. But, at the end of the day, nobody cares about that. They got to go out. They got to go out and prove that they deserve to be in the playoffs and that they're a really good team that we think they are, And, you go 8-8. People expect you to win 2 more games. You can be 10-6, and then 10, maybe 11. And if you miss it then in your 3rd year of the rebuild, then you're fine, right? But you go from, like Doug said, from 5, go 5-11 to 10-6 overnight. You're knocking on expectation. They're right there knocking on the door, And whether you're ready for it or not, they pushing on you. You know what I mean? The pressure is there.
Yeah. I think, and I also think heads will be rolling just based off of what we know that happens behind the scenes. It just reeks of, okay, we got to let y'all go. I think that's what's gonna happen, man. And it's not fair because like I said, this is rebuild year 3, and this is supposed to be a 5-year guarantee for Brian Flores, but
ain't no guarantee.
5-11 to 10-6 to 5-12. That no. So something's gonna happen, and I think it's primarily because of the fiasco that happened throughout the offseason.
With Watson.
Behind the scene with Watson and all this other stuff. I just think
the whole reason they wanted Watson was because they know the expectations have arrived and that they have to deliver. All right, so I've already held you guys up for over 2 hours here, so I'll just go through each one of you. Final thoughts. If you want to add any bold takes or predictions in there, knock yourself out. Dougley, go ahead, brother.
This season, like you said, PTSD. I think all us Dolphin fans have PTSD. 2008, we win the division. 2009, we falter. 2016, we make the playoffs. 2017, literally, we had like the opposite of a horseshoe shoved up our butt with the amount of like unlucky stuff that happened. So, as a fan base, we expect that growth, and we'll see. The motto I go by is I'd rather be surprised than let down. But I made that prediction for you because you asked me to do it. And I hate doing I think last year
you didn't do it.
And you were like, come on, man. I'm like, I hate doing it because I don't know. But I did it for you. And then I was like, screw it. If I'm doing it for him, I'll do it on my channel. We'll see how this pans out. I honestly think it's like last year. Everyone has these. Let's look at the schedule, right? 49ers. Oh, we're going to get beat by the 49ers going over to San Francisco. They got decimated by injuries. So that's what I'm saying. A lot of people looked at my picks and were like, wow, Doug, you're being real optimistic. Hey, Carson Wentz already got injured in the offseason. Same thing with Nelson. I'm sorry, Klump. I'm sorry. But he might not even make it. And if you look at Julio Jones at the Tennessee Titan game, he might not even make it to there, So A lot of things can happen. A lot of things could change. But, man, I'm hoping for a good season because I'd like to scream my head off and enjoy, not anger.
Yeah, I agree. And shout out to Paul Carpenter for the $22 donation through PayPal. Klump, your final thoughts, buddy.
First off, thanks for having me on. I appreciate all you guys on here. It's a lot of fun talking ball with all you guys. I didn't really touch on the whole like heads will roll thing, but this is kind of what I was thinking on my final thoughts with it. The reason, like, I think I've been on your show a few times where I said I don't think the Dolphins make the playoffs, and then I sit down and I break down the schedule, and you have Mac Jones, Derek Carr, Carson Wentz, Trevor Lawrence, Tyrod Taylor. You got Zach Wilson, Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones, Zach Wilson, Jameis Winston, and Mac Jones. Those are the quarterbacks, and I think that's 9 of their games that they're playing against. And it's like, to me, expectations are so high, yes, but like they need to be not – it's not even a high expectation to me. Like if Brian Flores is this great defensive coach and he can get his defense going, like these are teams they need to beat just because solely their quarterbacks are not great right now. Mac Jones may end up being great. Trevor Lawrence can end up being great. Zach Wilson, I might have just reset his name, but those rookie quarterbacks, they could be great. But this season, there's no way the Dolphins should lose to quarterbacks of this caliber right now. So I was like so against the Dolphins not making the playoffs. But the more I sit and break down their schedule, it's like this team needs to win football games against these quarterbacks. And especially if Tua is the guy, like I think Tua is going to be the guy. They need to win these football games. They need to attack these young quarterbacks, these mediocre, like Daniel Jones is not a quarterback that we should look back on and say, wow, I can't believe he gashed the Dolphins. Like if that happens, heads should roll. Like Daniel Jones should not be gashing the Dolphins. So I don't know. It's one of those weird things to me that it's like, I don't want to be that person. I always say like sunshine and rainbows and the lollipops and all that stuff. But like, I mean, I can see how fans are really excited because they have a pretty favorable schedule just based off the quarterbacks they're going against. So I hope that it all works out. I mean, obviously there's going to be injuries. There's going to be injuries for the Dolphins. It's going to be a weird year. COVID's obviously going to play an annoying factor. It already is for some teams, even the Dolphins. So we'll see. But I really do think they need to play at a high level and at least like 10 wins. If it's under 10 wins, there's an issue in my opinion.
Ball game, your final thoughts, buddy.
I think I've been pretty consistent with what needs to happen and the identity that needs to be established on the offensive side of the ball. I think defense is going to do their part to ensure that these games are close as possible. Offense has to do their part to ensure that they can prove to the defense that they're worthy of the effort that they're going to put out. Now, they're going to get tested early, right? The defense still has some question marks, but I do believe that the offense can be efficient enough through the first 6 to establish an identity of being one of the prolific, one of the better teams in the league at passing the ball, you know what I'm saying, in the intermediate and in deep areas of the field, as well as in the RPO game. And then from there, catch fire late, you know what I mean? But I think really what it comes down to, they just got to believe that they got to believe into it like we believe in it, you know? And if they do that, then that answers a lot of questions that, you know, could be present in the midst of them going through these struggles that they're going to have, because they're going to have some struggles. But as long as they stick together, man, that's about all I can ask for them, because I don't think 12 wins with the names like the names Klump just mentioned is far-fetched. You know what I mean? It goes like what I said. They have to win a couple of the games that most people don't expect them to win also. And they learn how to do that, then they're on the right track. You know, you go out there and you lay eggs against, you go out there and lay eggs against teams that you shouldn't be losing to, then, you're right back to square one. It doesn't matter what the roster looks like or how much they, saying high five or rah-rah with each other. Go out and dominate, and dominate in all 3 phases, and then, let the chips fall where they may. 12 wins, I think, is realistic, though. So,
Richmond, your final thoughts, buddy?
Yeah, I think just based on the way everybody kind of did their selections, I think 10 to 12, they should be somewhere in that range, barring a major injury at a position that could, really affect it. And like you say, these are paper wins, but there could be some games that we win that everybody expects us to lose, and then you always have one of those trap games, or where you have a bunch of turnovers and stuff. But I think the offense is going to be more proficient this year. I think they're going to put up a few more points. So I think the defense is going to kind of be where they were last year as far as production, this and that. So if we get that, I think those numbers are realistic. Just like you said, barring anything crazy in COVID, or we just have some major injuries at key positions. So we should be in most of these football games, and we should win them. So borderline playoff. I think if we go 11-6, just depending on the losses, if it's against a bunch of AFC teams, that might knock us out. If most of them against NFC teams, I think we got a real legitimate shot to slide into playoffs.
Like it. Dante, your final thoughts, buddy?
Yeah, I'll be brief. I think everyone's pretty much covered everything I wanted to say. I just think that this is a good football team. At the end of the day, I don't think they're elite. I don't think they're great. I think they're good. I think they're a playoff caliber football team. I think they're going to take a step in the right direction on offense, and I think that that'll make up for the inevitable defensive regression that is going to happen, because that's just how defense works in the NFL these days. So I think it's a good football team. I think they win 10, 11, 12 games. I think they sneak into the playoffs, and I think they'll be a team that teams don't want to play in the playoffs, frankly. So I'm very optimistic. This is probably the first time I've ever been optimistic about the Dolphins in my life. So weird feeling. It does feel very odd, but I really am. I think this is a good team.
Martin, your final thoughts, buddy?
Man, Reason, thank you for having us, man. This was an awesome panel. Everybody's football mind is just top level, man. I appreciate the opportunity. But I would say the slogan takes no talent. I believe this team has embodied that mantra, and I believe that no matter who we play, we're going to see maximum effort every single game we go head to head with whomever, wherever. It doesn't matter, coast to coast. I just believe this team is so solid as far as depth and just overall focus. I like how this team has been put together, and I just believe that if these guys take on that role or that next step mentality of let's beat the teams we're not supposed to beat, and let's beat the teams we're supposed to beat. I think once they take on that mentality, we're going to be much more in the driver's seat as far as every game we're going to expect to win. So it's going to take time to grow into that, because we're all still real young from top to bottom. But I just believe in what was put together, and let's see how it turns out, man. Week one's right around the corner, man. Let's go.
I just want to thank Douglie, Jeremy, Ballgame, Richmond, Dante, and you, Martin, all for coming on. I know I had fun talking with you guys. I know everyone in the chat was loving the show. Obviously I'll try and get you all back again. Maybe even at the halfway point of the season. I know I'll try and get you guys back as soon as the season ends, and we'll do like a review. Hopefully it's a regular season review with the playoff preview. But yeah, I mean, the expectations have arrived. I mean, that's the crazy thing that stuck out to me when I looked at all of you guys' predictions, because, I don't look at any of you guys as like casual homers. I look at you all guys that know the game, knowledgeable about the team, et cetera, et cetera. And when I looked at this, and I saw the low was 11, the high was 12, we were all pretty much in the same vicinity in terms of wins. Like, the expectations got even realer, and I've been one saying the expectations have arrived for months and months and months. And when I saw that, it truly hit me that, oh shit, they are here. So for the sake of the football team and the coaching staff, I hope they live up to expectations. I really do, because like Doug said earlier, if they don't, I'm not going to be on Dolphins Twitter for very much longer. You know what I mean? It's just not going to happen. I'll go join draft Twitter with Dante. Hey, you know what I mean? So, but again, guys, thank you for coming on. Obviously, guys, I'll be back Thursday. Me and EM will have a show. We'll talk about the state of the franchise heading into the season. Friday, I will do my preview show for the Patriots and the Dolphins. And then Sunday, I'll be live during the game. Appreciate, again, all of you guys for coming out. It was a great conversation as always. And everyone out there, stay happy, healthy, safe, and blessed. Smash that like button. Subscribe if you're new. And fins up all day, every day.
Peace. Yes.